to the Neandertalk Podcast. We'll no topic is off limits. Now here's your host, my daddy, and Roy the Soul. Thank you for coming to the Neandertalk Podcast. Boom, swat, boom.
In 3, 2, 1, and salute. Charles, salute. We're drinking some Kinahan's Irish whiskey. Here we go. Carrah, thoughts on the whiskey?
Delicious.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
You made a face there. I didn't know
It's
if
good.
that was
It's the Irish kind of buzz to it that's different. That sort of Scotchy leaning thing.
Yeah. Slightly peaty or something.
If I ever celebrate, like after I give a talk or something, I'll go get a pint of Guinness and a shot of Tullamore Dew on the side.
Nice.
That's my tradition.
Nice. I do like a good Guinness. Guinness. I was like when I was 19, 20, like when you first start drinking, I was like that. I tried to be like the cooler kid, and I'm not drinking that Budweiser or whatever. I always drank Guinness, but I was drinking the wrong stuff. But I was drinking the Guinness Stout. But I always like going out to the bar, getting the Guinness Draft. You know, it's got the nitrogen, it's the cool, smooth, velvety taste, a little chocolatey. But I would always get the Stout, and the Stout is like...
The Stout's what's in the draft.
Right, but it's not the nitrogen. It's
you don't want to get the bottle. You never want to get the bottle. You always want to drink Guinness from a can.
Yeah, I was getting the bottle kind. There's two... Yeah, that's what I was getting.
No.
I know, but this was like back in the late 90s, early 2000s. I think it was... When did that can technology come out with the little nitrogen thing in it?
I don't know. It's been around for a while, though.
I know.
But that's the way you want to do it. And also Guinness tastes different in Ireland. And also better than Guinness is Murphy's. If you ever get a chance to get a Murphy's.
I've had Murphy's.
It's a lot better. To me, it's more creamy, less bitter.
Is it really better in Ireland? When you get it? Why?
It has something to do with the keg and the water and the soap that they use.
Okay.
So from what I understand, in Ireland, they use different soap, and they're very strict about their soap in their pubs because of that, because of the residue and everything else.
What do you mean the soap?
Like the soaps to wash the dishes, to wash the
What? Get out of here.
Yeah,
You're telling me that has to do?
Oh, it has
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, that makes sense, I guess.
And certain bartenders in America are very strict about the soap they use because of the way things cling to the glass and the way things dry and the residue and things like that. And so there's just a combination of factors in Ireland that make a Guinness better. Plus, they make you wait for it. They make it,
I don't want to do that. I want my shit now. I'm American.
Yeah,
all
but
right?
that's not. Good things come to those who wait when it comes to Guinness.
I'm wearing my American soccer jersey in there with an American flag bandana.
And you'd be treated properly. They'd still buy you a Guinness.
On top of that,
no, they would not buy you a Guinness for a MAGA hat.
I don't know. They might like that over there.
No, they're definitely not Trump fans. You would find a number of Bush fans. Bush the second. You'd find a number of fans there, here and there. The first two people I met when I moved to Ireland were pro-Iraq war. I was astounded.
Pro-Iraq war?
Yes.
That's an interesting take. I haven't thought of before.
I was like, really?
Haven't you heard the propaganda?
Well, but
Are
it was
you
just.
sure?
Why would you be pro? I don't know. But they loved Bush,
Yeah.
They loved him. And I was like, that's bizarre. And they were the only two I had met, by the way. But like they were the first two. And I was like, wow.
Maybe you just met like some random weird, like nobody recognizes them in their society. They're probably.
Yeah. But so Ireland has changed so radically, I would say, in the last 30 years.
When did you live there?
So I only lived there continuously for 1 year.
Okay.
And I lived in Belfast, Northern Ireland.
Ooh.
So I was studying conflict resolution and ecumenics.
The NRA.
And I would go back and forth between
the IRA.
I would go back and forth between Belfast and Dublin twice a week to take different classes at Trinity for my master's. But then I had already visited Ireland about 5 or 6 times because my best friend was in Cork. So I know the southwest of Ireland very well. And I actually know probably the least about Dublin. But yeah, that's what took me there. And I had a lot of good adventures and, kind of embedded in real life there, not just a tourist. In fact, there's more stuff I'd love to do in Ireland that I never got a chance to do, but I've driven the length and width of it, so that's always fun.
That's the dream for me, is to go somewhere and just be ingratiated in the culture and just be like, I'm not a tourist anymore. I'm not one of you, but like I'm hanging out and like doing this lifestyle.
Yeah, well, you get your, I was in the UK because it's Northern Ireland, but as soon as you get your visa cleared, which I did for study, you get your health card in the mail and you get your health care.
Oh, cool.
It's amazing. And you're not even paying taxes necessarily, like the people there are, but you get to benefit from their social services. So
I wish I knew. I should know more than I do about Ireland and the Irish culture. Like I'm Irish. Like every other dumb Irish American, I have a dumb tattoo. But my grandparents would go to Ireland all the time. They were teachers, and during the summer they'd always make a big trip and kiss the Blarney Stone. And my grandma brought me back an IRA shirt, Irish Republican Army shirt. I wore it to school. You think I could do that today? You think my kid could go into school with an IRA shirt?
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
It's a terrorist organization. They're not going to allow that in school. I bet you'd be hard pressed to find if someone sees it and knows it. They're going to be
what
like,
country funded the IRA?
I don't know.
United States.
I don't know.
Irish families in the United States funded the IRA.
We fund everything. How long does it take? Yeah. How long does it take to go around Ireland? To drive around
the circumference?
Yeah.
I think you could probably do it in a day, maybe.
Would that be a fun drive?
Yeah.
What's it like? Well,
it depends
what is it like being an American and then living there?
Well, what is it like to be from the desert?
Yeah.
And then go to Ireland?
Oh, yeah, you're from.
I'm from Tucson. So I went from the least humid climate, the Sonoran Desert, to Ireland, which is like covered in moss, and it's gorgeous. And the first thing I thought was, I totally get why people would dream of fairies here and dream of leprechauns and like why that all would make sense. But they also consumed lots of mushrooms. So that's also why those visions come from that culture and things like that.
Really?
Yeah.
Psychedelic mushrooms out there?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. People actually go there for that.
Why didn't I ever think about that? Of course, leprechauns. Who else is seeing pot of gold at the end of the rainbow? And I guess that makes sense. Because a rainbow usually comes after rain, and right after rain comes mushrooms. And if you find a psychedelic mushroom and have an amazing trip, you would think that you found a pot of gold.
Or the pot of gold is the mushrooms.
That's what I'm saying.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a number of theories, but yeah, once you get down to like what's available in that culture in as terms of what could get you high, then a lot of that culture starts to make sense. Same with language. Like when I had my language coach in acting school, he would talk about how like, well, it makes sense that there's a lilt to Ireland because of the terrain. And it makes sense that, something like Arabic is very closed-mouthed because of the wind and the desert sand.
What?
Yeah, like he would start talking about language like that. And I thought that was really fascinating.
What? Did you study language?
No, I mean, I studied accents in acting school. So I had to learn how to speak like all different kind of people.
Oh, that's wild. Because I always wondered what's the Boston accent, what's the Louisiana accent, the Texas accent, the Minnesota accent.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think so much of the South does come from Britain.
Yeah,
especially the slow, that slow drawl, like Louisiana debutante or something.
I lived in Louisiana for a little bit too.
Oh my gosh, you did.
Yeah.
Have you been to all 50 states?
No. I'm missing a bunch.
Okay.
But I do, I've never been to California. I landed there, but that doesn't count. I don't count that because then I got right back on a plane 45 minutes later. So the Pacific Northwest, I think the farthest west I've gone, Montana, which was last year. Or Tucson's probably the furthest. Yeah. Or Vegas.
Vegas,
there we go.
Is the furthest west, yeah.
That's my furthest west.
Okay.
North, I've gone. Yeah, I don't know. Nobody wants to hear this. I've been to a lot of states. I'm a traveler, but I haven't done a whole lot of world travel. Mm-hmm. The world travel I've done is Toronto and border towns in Mexico.
Really?
Yeah.
So I'm coming up on the anniversary of my trip at 14 to Russia. And I went there in 1989, in May of 89. I was exactly the same age as my daughter. So I'm looking at her very much like, wow, this is when everything really changed for me. Because my dad had to give lectures in Tallinn, Estonia. And then
when did the Berlin Wall come down?
So this is the story. So it was May of 89. The wall comes down in October of 89. And Glasnost and Perestroika were the two programs that Gorbachev had kind of instilled into people. I think I'm going to get this wrong, but they meant slightly two different things. Like one was the opening of new ideas, and then the other one was to like loosen the barriers of communism, kind of, roughly. And I probably butchered that. But anyway, just so you know, they're political terms that mean two slightly different things, but they're both about the opening of Russia and the buffer and everything to leave and to kind of come into the world again. So Glasnost and Perestroika are huge at this time. All the buffer states still exist. So in our minds, from our generation, when we didn't have these countries, they were just part of Russia. They were the USSR, right? We didn't think about the Baltic region like Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia. We didn't think of Georgia or even Ukraine. That was all a part of what we knew as Russia, right? So we go to Estonia. But keep in mind, we just come from Sweden, which is heaven on earth. Like everything, cobblestone streets, the sun shines perfectly. People sing your name. Everyone knows English. It's like, come on, and the food is delicious.
Who are you?
Yeah. Then
where in the world is
Sweden? Is
Carrah, San Diego?
Yeah, right. Sweden is amazing. So then we took a ferry over to Tallinn, Estonia, and as soon as you hit the coast, it was Russian soldiers everywhere with guns, long trench coats, hats, everything. I was like, fuck, back in the USSR, right? I was like, this is what I've been reading about, right? So then we spent a week in Tallinn, Estonia, and there was a Fulbright scholar that lived next to the apartment, next door to us in the apartment, who was a part of the program where my dad was lecturing. And my dad was an environmental psychologist who was, really well known in his field, and so he would go all over the world. He went to 52 countries. He went all over the world lecturing, and so this was an opportunity for his bringing the family. This Fulbright scholar that lived next door to us, they had a son who'd been going to school there. He was there for the entire semester. It was an English and, Estonian school. And so he was going there to learn. He'd been there for like 6 months or so. His mother comes to me and says, would you mind going to Jim's class and talking to them about the United States? My son is so shy, and he won't talk in front of a classroom, but I can tell that you are not shy.
Yeah.
And I said, awesome. So I'm 14 years old. I go and give a lecture about the United States.
To who?
To this classroom, his English class.
Of Russians?
No, of Estonians.
Estonians.
And so I'm not aware of the complete and total animosity between the Estonians and Russians at this time. I have no idea.
Oh, okay.
So I go in assuming they're all kind of Russian, as an American would, right? Totally unaware of the fact that...
Well, not only an American, but just a 14-year-old. I mean,
right.
Take a 14-year-old from any country.
Right.
How are they going to know?
Right. Well, I would say at that time, at least, anybody in the buffer states from the age of 10, you knew who the fuck you were, and that you wanted the Russians the fuck out, right?
Sure.
So they're more intelligent than most of us because they've had to deal with conflict. I knew at the time that as we were walking around, every street sign in Tallinn is in Estonian and Russian, and all the Russians had been blocked out. Every time you saw Russian language, it had been crossed out.
Right.
And then you could see graffiti that says things in English like "Go home, Russian scum." And it's so interesting. One of my professors at Trinity always said, when there's protests, they usually do it in English because they want people to know. And so I was like looking at that, like thinking back on that moment where it said, "Die Russian scum" was in English.
It's a good way to use the media.
Yeah. And anyway, I go and I give a lecture.
Even then they knew how manipulative the media was.
Oh, all the time.
Yeah.
Manipulative creates it all.
Right.
Or manipulation of media. Manipulative. What? Yeah, let's combine that word. So anyway, I give the lecture about the United States. I told them about, freedom and our Constitution and, what a campus is like, because everything there is built up, whereas everything in Arizona is built out. And so our campuses are large and huge, and you walk between buildings, and that is just not a concept they understood because everything's built up. They have multiple floors. We talked about football games. We talked about high school proms. They wanted to know about proms. They wanted to know about homework.
What's the religion?
I would say most of them are Christian, Catholic, or probably something like maybe a Calvinism sort of a thing.
Okay.
Presbyterianism,
Not Orthodox.
Russian Orthodox would definitely not be their thing because
Okay.
it's, them. And right now, unfortunately, or fortunately, the Russian Orthodox religion is being used so terribly by Putin that it kind of has ceased to exist as like a legitimate anything, really, because they're kind of in bed with each other. Anyway, I give my lecture, and then the next day, they're given a day off with me, like 6 of these kids, and they take me all over Tallinn, Estonia. And they're telling me, we're going to have our own national anthem back. We're going to have our language back. We're going to have our money back. We're going to have our border back. We're going to have everything about our culture back. And when you come here again, our flag will be flying. And by the end of the year, fucking hell, all that became true. And I'll never forget that. Like
Cool.
it was just such a historic moment. We were sitting in the middle of this great square in Tallinn, and they're telling me all this. They took me to all the cool bakeries. They took me to a coffee shop. They took me to a record store. They took me to the propaganda stores where Lenin's picture was like everywhere, and they bought me all this cheap Russian propaganda shit. And I don't know, it was just fascinating. And then we go to Russia, and they were writing the Constitution the week we were there. It was that time will never exist again, ever. Every time you went to a store, anything, no one would help you because they all had their old radio headphones on with the antenna that stuck out the top,
Yeah.
And they're all listening to the proceedings of their Constitution. The TVs in all the hotel rooms, everybody that was watching it was the fucking staff. Like, you couldn't get anybody to help you. You had to go over and like, hey, are you the concierge? Like, we need to know this, where our tickets are. And he begrudgingly would get up, It's fascinating.
Wow.
Yeah, super fascinating. They were so into their change and their movement, and everybody was united, and it quickly fell away, very quickly, I would say.
What are your thoughts now with the Russian-Ukraine situation, if you will? Spending time in Russia, I'm sure you got to know some of the culture there, and
I loved the Russian people. I think they're fucking awesome.
they are.
They're I say, like, the number one word I use with them is gregarious.
Yeah.
They walk into a room, they're boisterous, they're full of life, they're educated. And at the same time, I would say there's a little bit of isolation there, that they're enough for themselves. Mm-hmm. There's no need necessarily to be global because of what they've achieved on their own. They worship their writers. I loved that. Everybody can mention the great writers of Russia.
Right.
They
have an amazing history. Just the history of Russia is so fascinating.
Yeah, and it's quirky, and like it did matter that they didn't have a Renaissance. It's kind of different. It's an odd
different,
thing.
all right.
Yeah, it's an odd thing. And their geography is totally interesting too, and there's multiple ethnicities. Russian's a political term. It's not an ethnic term. Mm-hmm. There's I want to say dozens of ethnicities in Russia.
Yeah.
So you can look what we would call Chinese, and they are Russian.
Well, what are your thoughts with the conflict? Are you
honestly,
pro-Russia?
I think that they
pro-Ukraine? Because right now the hip thing is to be pro-Ukraine and put a flag in your bio.
No, I'm definitely pro-Ukraine. Because this was the whole thing is stupid. I don't understand.
Oh yeah, it's stupid.
It's stupid. And also, what I find troubling is the lack of action when we've known historically Russian troops are shitty, and Russian troops lack morals, and Russian troops do things that are, I would say immoral. Continuously.
Welcome to war, baby.
Yeah, I know, and I'm not saying that other troops don't.
Yeah.
But when you study the Russian retreat from all the way through to Eastern Europe, the amount of rapes that happened, the amount of pillaging that happened, it's a really famous retreat. It's a really famous one. So their method of retreat is actually part of the war. So when you hear Russians retreating, it should do something different for you historically. I think that they need to arrest Putin by now for war crimes. What are they waiting for? I don't understand. The Hague.
The Hague?
Yeah.
Well,
the International Criminal Courts. It's like they exist for a reason.
No, not for the reasons you want them to. Like, that's what you want, but like,
so
when's the last person that's been arrested for a war crime?
Slobodan Milosevic.
Well, why isn't any big names? You think a big name? I don't know who that person is.
You don't remember Slobodan Milosevic?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm not a huge world political guy. That's why I'm talking to you. I'm trying to get information.
Well, okay. This was
when and where?
I believe he was the Serbian leader, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong about that, but Slobodan. And then remember Ceausescu in Romania that was killed on like national television
By his people? Mm-hmm. I'm talking about an actual criminal court.
Okay,
Like
Saddam Hussein stood in front of a criminal court.
Again, those were in front. He was hung by his own people.
But after he was found, he was definitely put through the legal process.
I mean,
absolutely.
You could just throw Gaddafi in there as well.
And not only that, they held that court accountable for some of the things that were done during his execution.
I think that shit's all orchestrated and organized as then they use those political people as, tools. Why if you're talking real war crimes, then arrest the past fucking 10 presidents. Like, give me one that didn't commit any war crimes. Maybe Trump might be the only one who wasn't. He's the only one who didn't start a new war.
True.
Which is wild.
True. Except the war that's going on amongst us. He restarted the Civil War.
Well, I wouldn't say he did. I think that's just a lack of communication.
All you have to do is open the wound. That's all you got to do.
Yeah, but who's doing that? If Trump didn't do that, the media did that. The media is our enemy.
There's also the power of small groups who are pissed off. Think of Proud Boys. Think of all the white supremacist groups. These little small groups can agitate.
I think they were getting agitated. When you have...
By having a black president?
No, I don't think that... No.
You don't think that we have Trump because we had Obama?
No.
You don't?
No. Are you kidding me?
You don't see a correlation between Trump and Obama. How can you not see that?
I think they put the worst candidate they possibly could have. I think the Democratic Party is so inept and corrupt and full of just their own little egos and games. They don't care about anything. They put the wrong person out there because she's got power in the Democrat class. They didn't care about what the people said. The DNC didn't give a fuck about the people. I think you know who would have had a hard time beating Hillary, or who Trump would have had a hard time beating?
Bernie Sanders.
Bernie Sanders. But what did they do to him? What did the DNC do to him? Fucked him. You know who I think would have been a better president now that would have beaten Trump? Biden. I don't know how Biden won. I not won't get into that. But Tulsi Gabbard. Look what they did to her. Like, those are two legit Democrats that they could have put out there against him and had much better results. And then not. So I can't say it was because of Obama. It's not Obama. It's ineptitude and corruption of the Democratic Party.
I think the racists were agitated.
I don't think there's that many racists in America.
I do.
I know you do.
I absolutely do.
I just don't see it.
Okay, but see, as a woman, I hear there's really not that much sexism.
I
just
define
don't see
sexism.
it.
Get more up on that.
Existing is sexism. Are you fucking kidding me?
There's always going to be isms. There's always going to be dumb people that have isms, but they're never the majority. Isms are never the majority. Racism isn't the majority. Sexism isn't the majority. I just don't buy it. There's too much good happening in this society.
Talk about it. Tell me.
What?
Heal me. Come on. Give me all the good happening
right now in society. Tell me where the bad stuff's coming from. Because I think here's what I think. I think, like I said earlier, it's the media is the problem, and it's social media and it's mainstream media, and you get accidentally, algorithmically stuck into these bubbles where you're just getting pushed a narrative that you find yourself in, and then you start seeing more sexist posts or people fighting it, like these got you moments or these protests, and you just start seeing that, and so you think it's out there more than it is. But like I said, I'm traveling all over this country all the time. And I'm not seeing outright blatant racism or sexism or even ageism, really. I don't know, different ages. Like, I know it exists. I do know it exists. I understand it. But I just don't think it's that big I don't think it's like when you call everybody that voted for Trump is a racist, you have problems right there. You can't call half the country racist. You just can't.
Why?
Well, first of all, every single Trump voter was not white. There's a lot of black people that voted for Trump. There's a lot of black people right now that still support Trump. There's a lot of Mexicans. There's a lot of white women. There's a lot of Cubans.
There's a lot of white women that support Trump.
There's a lot of women of all colors. There's every single Jewish women. There's Christians. There's non-Christians. Trump gets a lot of different people. Yes, and so you can't say every Trump voter is a racist. Now, here's where I'll go with you at. Every racist is a Trump voter.
That's
sure.
for sure. That's for sure.
Okay, but that number is not that fucking big. It's just I don't think it is. I don't think it is. Where am I seeing it? I don't know. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me how I'm wrong.
Because the more overt he gets, there's less excuses for people that can't see it. First of all, if you say things like he's never said anything racist, it's like, what racist does that? Honestly,
Well, just tell me what he said that is racist.
You don't even have to look any further than the fact that he was sued for not allowing black people to rent his own apartments.
I doubt he was in control of that.
He absolutely was.
It's probably his property. His
property discriminated against black people overtly. In the contract. That was one of the first times he was ever sued.
Oh, I'm not listening.
Let's just start at the beginning.
Oh, I'm not saying, and I'm not pro-Trump by any means. I think he's got a lot of things that he gets attacked for that he's not. I think there's plenty of things you can attack him for. Like when he was doing, he fucked over tons of New York small businesses, put them out on their asses, put them homeless. Like back when he was building back New York, he would hire all these like mom and pop places that like spent their whole life was like making custom doors or custom windows. And he would hire these families to do it and then not pay them. He did that to so many. Yeah,
he didn't pay for his caterer.
Trump's a piece of shit.
He did not pay for his caterer for his wedding
in a lot of ways.
Naples.
But I mean, he's when it comes to business, I mean, dude knows his shit.
No, he doesn't.
Look where he's at.
$380 million in debt. He doesn't know shit. He's the dumbest fucking guy on the planet and
Look
the most
how
dangerous.
He's living.
He's living on borrowed money from fucking Russian shell companies. Are you kidding me right now?
Do you think he's
the guy
gonna die?
doesn't have a dime to his name. He's a fucking charlatan. He's tricking everybody.
Right.
He is
Look
a
what he's doing.
narcissist, and
Yeah.
the malignancy leaks everywhere. It oozes out and sticks around and gathers other narcissists that back him up.
I don't know if he's a narcissist.
He is a narcissist.
Probably on that line.
Oh,
he's
my
definitely
God.
a psychopath.
I've dated enough narcissists to know when that crawl goes up my spine, the guy's a fucking narcissist.
Yeah.
And
probably.
So here's the other point, okay? We are so wed to legal definition, legal understanding. We're so wed to it being precise about, no, it must be in this language and that language and out loud. So like, in order for you to call somebody a racist, it would have to be proven that he was through what he said or did by blatantly saying it. You have to prove a guy's a rapist only if he's convicted in legal court. So
I don't know about that.
Yes, absolutely.
Public opinion.
If you are acquitted, then you are not a rapist, whether or not you did it. So the thing
a
is,
lot of people think Kobe Bryant's a racist.
Or a rapist.
Rapist. Rapist.
I mean,
no, a lot of people do, is all I'm saying. There's a lot of people that believe he is.
So
And
my point is,
he was acquitted.
there is a time at which if you are a woman or you are a victim of some sort of specific thing, you can look at a person and kind of just know.
I can't buy that.
And that exactly. People can't buy it because it can't be proven, okay?
No, let
me tell you something.
Too many people are like, oh, I just know. I can see that person, I just know.
I have sat in a room where there's a conversation with white people and there's black people in the room. And when certain white people have left the room after what I thought was a normal conversation, the black person will turn to me and say, that guy's a fucking racist. And I'm like, how did you know? And they're like, just trust me on that one. And there's some thinly veiled things that are said that other people perk up to that other people can't because their radar's not there, their antenna's not there. I always say that explaining sexism to a white man is like explaining water to a fish. It's like they're not going to be able to see or understand because it's in subtle ways in which you cannot explain. For instance,
come on, lay it on me.
So Bill Maher had this thing, and Bill Maher is slightly sexist. Bill Maher had this thing where he said and again,
sexist in which way? These are such
I'm
loose,
explaining.
Loose terms.
Because you're not understanding the reality of how women have to live, the secrecy with which we have to keep certain things or dodge certain things or accommodate certain things in order to just stay in our jobs or just stay in our houses or just occupy space. And the point he was trying to make was you cannot sue somebody for sexual harassment or get upset or feel like it's a hostile environment if they're just touching your hair. And this was referring to a Bernie Sanders worker who was in like the break room or something. And this guy was telling her how beautiful her hair was and started touching her hair. And this had happened several times. And she was, explaining there was harassment in the workplace. And Bill Maher's point was, just tell him to stop touching your fucking hair. And I thought to myself, okay, Bill Maher, if you were, let's say, Brenda Maher, and you were in that kitchen and you said that, don't touch my hair. That guy, because of how he is trained and the sexism that he is forced with, because sexism hurts all of us, his masculinity is now in question automatically, right? So he's going to feel rejected. Men do not deal with rejection well because they've never been taught. And then he's going to go to his friends who might be a higher up, might be the hiring manager, might be the guy who's the office manager, whatever. And he's going to say, she's a fucking bitch. She's totally fucking crazy. I think she's hungover. Dude, I think she might also be a slut. He'll do anything to demean her because of his rejection, because he hasn't been taught how to deal with it.
Sure, there's a lot of people.
So then that will start a domino effect that other people really don't get.
These are very specific scenarios.
They happen every fucking day.
Okay.
And you have to navigate it without saying a word. So the other thing is that all of the power of the world is neatly and precariously stitched together by women's silence.
Well,
so if women came out and were honest about things, shit would be a little different.
All right, but you're dealing. That's a creep. That's not like. That's a creepy dude. Like
And you think the ratio of creepy dudes is rare? Let me guess.
No, not rare. But how?
I've been a bartender for 18 years. I would say a good 50% of the population is creepy at any given moment.
Environment. That's a whole nother environment. The bar is a whole nother environment.
Sure. The latest sex survey said women were polled, and they believe at least 85% of the male population is capable of rape.
Well, that's ridiculous.
Why? Have you been raped?
No.
Okay. How many women do you know in your life? Over 10?
I know a lot of women.
Okay. Well, every 4 of those have been raped multiple times. Guaranteed.
All right. Then what's the definition of rape then? I guess that's where
against your consent.
Okay. Well, that's 85% of men are not raping people. That's insane. 8 out of 10 people, 8 out of 10 men. So only 2 out of 10 men. So you're hoping me and Charles are the 2 non-rapists? Are the next 8 you meet? Like, get out of here. That's such an insane number. Get out of here. Show me. That is so. What kind of society could not survive with an 85% rape ratio of men? There's no way a society could survive on that. Are you kidding me?
I would argue that society has survived on rape for a very long time.
85%?
Okay, but listen, you're not getting the point here. Whether or not that statistic is true that men could, the point is that's how women feel.
Well, then they need to read some books.
They need to.
Yeah.
Well, why don't you think about how they must feel?
Why do they feel like that?
Exactly.
Why?
What can we do?
Why?
What's wrong? Why would you feel that way?
Because I have people telling me that 85% of men are fucking raping people. That's why I feel like that. No,
but that wasn't the question.
But
that wasn't the question.
That's where they're
the question was, do you feel men are capable of rape? Do you think all men are capable of rape was the question. And then the answer led to the statistic that 85% are capable of rape.
Okay.
Capable.
That's what I'm saying. So when you put that number out there and people and women are reading that, they start thinking, oh, I guess it's normal to think 85% of men can rape.
No, it would be that wouldn't be the interpretation at all.
Why wouldn't it be? If that's the information
it would be like that's how much fear we're living with.
Where are they getting that fear? Who's doing that poll?
Who's doing the raping?
Not 85% of men.
Well, men rape multiple women. So, I mean, if 1 out of 4 women is being sexually assaulted by the time she's an adult, something's going on.
If what?
1 out of 4 women.
Okay, then I need to know their definition of rape. Because I think it's pretty loose if it's 1 out of 4. Like, There's a difference between I had sex somebody with regretful sex. Oh, I had a few drinks last night and we had sex. Now I'm wishing I wouldn't have. Or now my girlfriends are saying, "Oh, I can't believe you had sex." Like, and you get embarrassed and then you regret it. Real rape, you have to have real definitions. Real rape is like some assholes
It's
like
against your consent.
No, it's fucking pinning your ass down, like physically
you think
assaulting
rape, but
you.
you think rape is violent, and rape is not always violent. Rape can be silent.
How?
In your dorm room with a hand over your mouth.
That's pretty physical.
Or when you get frozen and you can't, as a trauma response, you freeze and you can't move and you can't do anything.
That's physical. That's a physical assault.
That's not violent, though.
That is very violent. Entering someone when they're not wanting to be entered is the definition of violence. If you don't want to have sex, no means no, and they do it, that's rape.
Yes.
Yes.
But you're not necessarily pinned.
If you're saying no, you're pinned. If she's on her back and he's getting close to put it in and she's like, "No, don't. It's no. I said no sex tonight," and he does it, that's rape.
Yes.
Yeah. The only way he's going to do it is going to be able to pin. If she's on top, she can hopefully get off.
Yeah. Okay. Well, just because a guy's on top doesn't mean I'm pinned. But
I'm saying if he's raping you, he's pinning you. He's already on top of you. He's
right, but it's
there.
not a restraint necessarily, is what I'm saying. I'm saying that things can happen in ways which are silent, which are a frozen response.
I don't know what you're saying there. What does that mean? Like,
so,
how are we getting to this point? Like,
there are 4 trauma responses.
But like, when does I just need to know this definition of rape if 1 in 4 women are being raped, because it's not 1 in 4 women are being raped. 1 in 4 women are experiencing sexual assault by the time they're adults. Okay, so you're going from childhood all the way up to adulthood, and 1 in 4 has already experienced it by the time they reach adulthood. What's sexual assault meaning? Mm-hmm. And I'm not demeaning these. I'm just trying to get a depiction of this. 1 in 4, like I touched your hair when you didn't want me to. Mm-mm. Is that counted as that?
If that happened repeatedly, it would be harassment.
Yeah.
Not assault.
Okay. So what's defined as sexual assault?
I
have a daughter. I'm afraid of this shit.
Yeah, it's anything that physically infringes your ability to repel a person, or it's something that happens against your will in a sexual manner. Mm-hmm. So that can be, digital rape, like, it can be pinning you up against a wall and forcibly kissing you. Okay. It can also, I think, be, threats. Yeah. Verbal.
All right. I'm going to be pretty lenient with verbal stuff, especially at that age.
Yeah, but if you can...
You got 14-year-olds being verbal to other 14-year-olds.
Sure, but somebody like a narcissist can carve into your reality, make you question, gaslight you. They can do all sorts of shit to make you succumb.
Oh, trust me.
Look at our fucking country.
Something I'm worried about with my kids, actually, yeah.
Our country is under the spell of a narcissist, and they have all the symptoms, and it's going to take another 10 years to get over it.
Which narcissist?
Trump. It's the malignancy.
No, our country's not being run or tricked by that narcissist. It's being run by the industrial complex, military industrial complex, and pharmaceutical companies. That's what we're being run by.
Well, I don't know what angle you're saying. I'm saying
that's where every decision comes from.
But I'm saying culturally.
Fuck, that's what they want.
Culturally and politically.
You think culturally do you think these culture wars mean anything?
Yes, to trans kids they do. To gay people they do. To black people they do.
Overall, it doesn't mean shit. If there's
and now that we've lost the right to choose, it really affects women.
When there's a nuclear war, well, yeah.
That all happened because of the Bible.
No, it happened because Democrats, again, had 50 years to codify
Roe
Roe v. Wade, and they didn't do it. Why didn't they do it? You want to know why? Because it stokes the fire of these culture wars and these culture battles, and you know what it does? It keeps everybody distracted from what they're really doing, like starting wars in Yemen that you never heard about, and having genocide in fucking Yemen, blowing up fucking... Where did we... damn it. The gas. They were going to gas. Syria. Like, we're going into Syria. Like, all this shit. We're writing, both the Democrats and the Republicans, what do they always agree on? Giving the military more money. What do they always agree on?
We shouldn't.
They always agree on insider trading. They always agree on pharmaceutical shit. What don't they agree? What do they disagree on? All the cultural stuff. Why? Because it keeps us distracted from doing the shit that they agree on.
Well,
and
but
people
I don't
get
think
all these little
I don't
wars.
think I don't think the Democrats are invested in culture wars. I think they don't know how to fight them.
Oh, are you kidding me?
I don't think the Democrats start culture wars. They don't really give a shit about like anything specific about people. They just want to help people.
That's okay.
So tell me what culture war they started.
All of them, the racist ones, they've started the racist ones with Trump. What they called everyone a racist. Michelle Obama said it when this is the proudest I've ever been in the country, this country in my life, is when it was because we finally hired a black guy as the president. That was the proudest. There's been so many other things to be more proud of. Like, how about the civil rights movement? How about starting that?
I think it's personal.
How about
because I think that's
World War
personal
II?
for her. She wasn't declaring it for the whole culture. I think that was a personal moment.
I'm just saying
for her.
that's where it starts. And then when you say, like Joe Biden going and saying, if you don't vote for Democrat, you're not black. When he says like things like that.
Well, that was stupid to say.
When Hillary is calling every single one who votes for Trump a racist, when that narrative gets out there, when you just start saying half of the country is racist, that's a culture war.
Okay.
And then
I'm sorry, but like, could you? I mean,
fighting for not being able to define what a woman is and getting offended by that, like having a Supreme Court.
What
justice,
is a woman?
What is a woman? A woman. Well, because we have to get with terms and science, and we have to stick with science. So
female. You're talking about female.
No, it's woman and female is the same fucking thing. Sex and gender, there's no difference. That's where it somehow got parsed so we can have this silly.
So
argument.
you believe in gender?
I believe there's people who should create sperm, born people that I should create sperm, and you should create eggs.
Yeah.
That's what a male and a woman is.
Okay.
Is there intersect people? Sure, it's a very, very small percent. And even then, they're going to either have an enlarged clitoris or a micro penis, and they're still going to be like, you should have eggs, you should have sperm, and that's it. That's
right, but that's sex. That's not gender.
No, it's the same thing. There's no difference.
How is that possible?
Because those words mean the same thing. Sex and gender are the same thing. You're just making up a different word to say there's a whole branch of this.
But gender's
now,
made
if you
up.
want now,
gender's made up.
Sex isn't. Which one's made up then?
But just like you said in simplistic terms, there's
Right.
people that have the right that have the ability to give birth, and then people who don't, right?
Kind of, but it's not.
Like,
it's not quite that. It's not quite that. It's more. It's basically.
It's eggs and sperm.
Basically,
Yeah.
But also like, once you hit menopause, you can't create eggs anymore, but you're still a woman. And there's some birth defects where a woman can't create eggs, but
Sure.
she should still have had the ability
Sure.
without some anomaly happening.
Sure. But everything after that, what you wear, how you're treated, the discrimination factor, that's all gender shit.
I mean, that's where you're coming up with a whole nother word.
Like, do you feel like when you sit down and close your eyes, do you feel like a man?
I just
Do you
feel
sit
like
there
me.
and do you see? Yeah, right.
I'm
okay.
just me.
So you don't sit there
But
and
I
go,
know that I'm a man.
But what does that mean?
I jerk off and I come.
Right. But so does everybody else. Like, so what, I mean, what makes you a man?
If I was a super, super effeminate gay man, I'd still be a man.
Yeah.
That's just what I am. So when science breaks me down and I'm dead and in 3,000 years I get dug up, they're going to be like, oh, this was a male. This was a man. That's what I am. That's what I believe in. So then if you want to go all these different things like I'm a man but I thought I'm a woman, what does that even mean? So you tell me what that is. You're still a man, but if you want me to call you a woman, I will.
But it's no.
But you're still a man, and you still got these different attributes that does make you a man. There's certain things that make you slightly different. Your testosterone, your puberty. When men are just stronger, faster. We just have broader shoulders, a denser bone density.
Right, but if you took every man in the world and every woman in the world and you lined them all up on a spectrum,
oh yeah,
at some points you would have women on this side and you'd have men on this side.
Wait, what? If you took what?
Like, let's say if you're just talking about strength or athletic build or whatever, and the idea is that men are stronger with better athletic build and women aren't. At some point in the middle of the spectrum, you would have women on the side of the men who are athletic and very strong.
Sure, but the very strongest woman is never going to be able to compete or be anything near the strongest man.
But is that because she's a woman? Or because that's
just the way that's her biology.
The biology of it, right?
Right. The biology is just never going to happen.
But I see biology.
Give me the baddest bitch on planet Earth.
Okay.
Give it to her and go against have you watched Game of Thrones? The guy that's the mountain? Yeah. That giant dude? Yeah. Who's winning in any battle you do with those two? You know what I mean?
But a woman could have a different way of winning, also. That is totally different.
Sure, we can cater some kind of game for her.
But okay. But there is no gender.
I tell you, it's
gender,
not going to be a driving competition.
Gender is something that is assigned to you by society that tells you how to be.
That was a sexist
to be this
joke.
person. I know. You're doing them. But and those are things that I don't agree with. I don't like that. Like this whole idea of my being a mother is that I'm deified now. Oh, it's mother. It's a holy thing. It's, it's so blessed. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about?
I don't know. I didn't say that.
Don't convince me that I'm more heavenly because I'm a mother.
I would never say that.
It's ridiculous.
No, I wouldn't say that.
It's and furthermore,
there's a lot of bad moms out there.
No, but if there's the most important job in the world, then why aren't you paid for it? Don't fucking talk to me like that. Don't tell me how
you just married the
great
wrong
it
guy,
is
then.
to be a mother. Never got married, thank God. But there's things about being a woman that they get. So first of all, you're treated differently. Everything about you is treated differently. Everything about
men get treated different too. Everybody gets treated different.
But you're treated differently because of sexism. You're gauged upon your level of masculinity or not. All because of sexism.
By women too, then?
Yes. We're all in this society.
That's just a really pessimistic way to think of everything, is the way people are interacting with you.
It just is the way it is, though.
But I don't think it's that. It's just people are on a spectrum. There's tons of people that are just introverts, but they'd love to talk to you like this, a one-on-one, and they'd get open, and then there's extroverts who want to just talk to everybody and go do this or that. And then you got sociopaths out there. You got murderers out there. You got rapists out there. You got people that are so happy all the time. People are wild. You got mental disease, drug overdose, like drugs putting holes in their brains. Actually, I don't know if that happens. I think that was disproven, at least with ecstasy. Anyways, you got just a spectrum of human beings, and I don't think you can just all blame. It's a complicated world.
But that's
with
what
too many of
that's
us.
What the argument.
Not too many,
but that's what the argument of gender is don't put us in boxes because we're women. Let us.
No, we have to.
Let us be more complex than that. Let us be something else.
There's no. Well, don't out-complex. Don't make it more complicated than it is. You're a man or a woman when it comes down to science.
But it is more complicated than that, and that's been proven by people coming up and standing up and saying, "I'm not like that."
But we're just arguing with a couple things with you with that on that. We don't want you. At least when it comes to me, I don't want women. I don't want men to be in women's sports.
Okay.
That's where I'm coming at, and that's where I think it gets a little crazy. When you got people like Leah Thomas that's swimming with the women, who was not a great men's swimmer, and so he transitions to be a female and then starts winning everything against these females and just ruining the whole. You know how hard I love sports. I've always been an athlete. I'm into that shit, and whatever. Women's sport. Do you know how hard women have worked to get to where they are at right now in sports?
Title IX.
You got the WNBA. You got the women's national soccer team. Like people, like women fighting in the UFC. Like people actually care about women's sports now. Women have been playing sports forever, but people didn't really care about it. They tried doing some gimmicky stuff like Billie Jean King and stuff like that, or not Billie Jean. Was she the one that played the dude? Yeah, like do things like that.
And she won.
He was horrible though. Even Serena Williams is like, she wouldn't beat a top 100 male, and she's a badass, She says it herself. She says it herself. No, she understands. Have you seen? It doesn't matter.
But okay, so let's talk about
that's
something.
where I'm at.
Let's talk about something other than ability, though. Like when it comes to physical ability and the standards that are set by sports. Why don't we just talk about expression?
Well, who's saying they can't express themselves? We're not saying you can't dress up like a woman.
But society, I mean, Tennessee, you'll get arrested for it.
No, that's ridiculous. Then that's a human's right violation. Then.
Exactly. Well,
If
they
you're
just
not gonna- that's a
banned
free- no,
drag.
actually, no.
They just banned drag in
They did-
Tennessee.
Okay, hold on. Be more specific. I guarantee they didn't ban drag. That's freedom of speech. I can wear whatever I want.
Where have you been?
No.
Google it right now, Charles. They banned drag in Tennessee.
The entire state, you can't wear. A man can't wear a woman's clothing, and you can't wear a pantsuit or something. What's drag? Can women be in drag?
This has been the argument. You haven't been watching the proceedings?
This isn't what. No.
Every drag meme has been erupted from the bowels of the 1960s. Like, it's all out there.
Hold on.
And then Lizzo brought out all the drag queens, and she was under threat of arrest and all that.
Hold on. It's not. I guarantee you, it doesn't say they're banning dressing in drag.
A federal judge in Tennessee has ruled that a state law limiting public drag show performances
And
unconstitutional restriction on the freedom of speech. As a matter of text alone, the Adult Entertainment Act is.
We're listening to stuff off mic here. Sorry.
Viewpoint-based restriction on speech.
Hold on. So what was it?
That's basically it.
Hold on, Carrie. Repeat that on mic. Nobody could hear that.
Oh, my bad.
It's drag shows. It's drag show performances. It's not just drag. You can still. So nobody's saying you can't dress up in drag. It's like you can't have a drag show. And I bet it probably says some shit. I don't even know what it is. I would assume it's like, hey, don't do it in front of a school or have kids here.
That makes sense. Yeah, I agree with that.
Well, it all came from drag queens performing, or drag queens reading books in libraries for kids.
I don't think that's an issue. I bet you something happened at an event like that led to that. It wasn't just a guy dressed up.
It was the Christian fundamentalists. They got a stick up their ass, or the stick got pushed further up their ass.
Yeah.
And they were talking, this is all on C-SPAN, on
Okay.
all of Congress,
All
saying
right.
they're sexualizing our children and they're grooming them for sexual abuse. That's why the memes come out like, hey, I'd be more concerned that a Christian would show up with a gun than a drag queen.
Yeah, it's basically for drag shows, not just like drag.
I'm not concerned with either one of those people. A Christian with a gun is going to be one of the safest things you're going to find.
That's bullshit.
Okay, a Christian with a gun.
A Christian with the gun started the genocide of the Native Americans. Are you fucking kidding me right now? Get off it.
That's
Christians
not a-
with guns are the most dangerous people in the world. Come on, man.
No, I'm not going there. A Christian
Troubled
with a gun.
youth and Christians with guns.
I'm not pro. I'm saying a Christian with a gun is a dude that's going hunting. I'm saying a guy that's starting a mass
That's just
shooter.
a dude with a gun. That's just a dude with a gun.
No, there's some.
But he's not going out to hunt due to his Christianity. There are people that are holding their guns because of Christianity, and they get their Bible verses printed on their guns.
That's
a sick thing.
There's a weird thing out there with Christians and There's some
My
weird
gun
Christians out
and
there.
God and country.
That's a very Southern cultural thing to say right there like that. How dare you?
It's cognitive dissonance at its best.
I don't know what to say. I don't know. You're just talking about random weird people. There's
Christian fundamentalism.
There is some weird Christians out there.
Christian fundamentalism
But then there's
is
also
destroying the country.
regular Christians out there. They're like, yeah, I like to read the Bible and go to church and like use this as like a scaffolding of life, but I'm not clinging to this and like
Got it.
like getting going to the wrong church. I think it was probably about going to the right church. I don't know. I'm not. Look, I left the church. I'm not a fan.
Do you believe in an afterlife?
After doing DMT, I believe something's out there. However, I'm not. I don't know. I'm not convinced.
I like that answer.
I'm not convinced.
I love I don't know.
I'm not convinced that once the lights shut off, the lights just shut off. It's just done. And we don't know. I that might be, but I don't know. I don't know. I think when you think about that, is that the ego speaking?
That you're that important.
Right. Like that there's something
I
has
agree.
to be more like is that just, but maybe that's the gift of consciousness that we were given. And maybe that's why we were given this gift, is to think about that and to prepare about it, or just to not be so scared going into it when it happens, because it's going to happen. Who knows? The afterlife's a fucking weird thing to think about. I don't know.
I don't think it exists.
Have you done DMT?
No.
Try DMT.
What is that in? Is that the the mushrooms? No.
No, it's there's multiple ways you can do it. You could do ayahuasca, and you could go to like down South America and drink the juice with the shamans and have like a 10 to 12 hour crazy journey. Or there's a stuff called DMT, which is the smokable form, and there's a couple ways. Either they make it in a lab, or you can get it from a toad. He likes to secrete.
Sure.
They secrete the secretion from it onto glass. It dries out, and then they shave it down, and you get like these little crystals. And you just take a little bit and put it in like a crack pipe, basically, and you blast off to the center of the universe for about 10 or 15 minutes. And if you have intention going into this thing, maybe ask it a question. I want to know about this. Maybe I want, like, whatever's in your head. Like, is there an afterlife? Will you show me if there's an afterlife? Good chance it will show you. Something will show you what your question is. It's fucking trippy. It's so weird. It's wild to talk about. Like, just saying it out loud, I'm like, yeah, I went through a wild experience.
I believe it.
But what was that? But my question was, I've always wanted to know, what is consciousness? And I got an answer. I had a female entity. You could feel its presence, that it was female, gave me this answer of what consciousness is. And then it's just some other weird shit happens. It's fucking wild.
Mm-hmm.
Wild.
I can't do hallucinogens anymore.
It's not really a hallucinogen. It's something completely different.
I would need to
it's a
do
dissociative.
I don't know. That's the thing. I suffer from a dissociative disorder. I'm already on Saturn anyway. So I don't, and I mean, I got recently diagnosed with almost everything in February. I'm autistic, which I didn't know. So I have autism. And so those kinds of drugs can do things to me that they don't do to other people. So
you'd have to do some research on it.
And because I'm dissociating all the time, people were asking me if I should go do ketamine, and I'm like, no, I can't. I'm a person that cannot do ketamine. If I did ketamine, it could possibly cause such a trauma that I wouldn't come back, because I do that all the time. My dissociative disorder.
What you're talking about there is the great fear of doing all hallucinogens with everybody.
Yeah.
That's just like, what if I don't come back?
There's a chance I wouldn't. I'm one of those people that really needs to be careful, and I had always had, like, when other people were doing drugs, I'm like, I didn't have that experience. Or when I would be prescribed pharmaceuticals, it was way too high of a dose. I'm like, dude, I don't know what you're giving me, but
wow.
Or I was given prednisone for a body rash I had from obviously
that's a steroid, right?
Huge, yeah. Well, it's steroid hormone. I had a huge reaction to some stress in my life, had a huge body rash, never had one before. Gave me prednisone, standard dose, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And the third day, had my first panic attack, and it literally changed my brain chemistry. Had panic disorder, and then that set me on a whole different path. And then I've been reading now. So now if you have to take prednisone.
How long have you had panic disorder?
I kind of got rid of it. So I had panic disorder in 1990.
Oh, geez. Okay.
4.
Never mind then.
Right. And then I learned through cognitive behavioral therapy, I learned how to kick it. And unfortunately, I had my last panic attack last Thursday, but I haven't. But in a period of like 20 years, I've had like 4 or 5 panic attacks, which is good because I was having 5 or 6 a day.
Yeah,
and that's adrenal burnout. That's just hell. It's absolute hell. And that when it hits you at those fear centers, it's just the fucking worst. And you really feel like you're going to die, and you can't explain it. And you're like, no, the floor became a ceiling for the second. And I know I'm on the ground, but I'm not on the ground, but what the fuck's going on? And it's because it triggers every single thing about flight. It's your adrenal glands firing up for fight or flight, and you've got to flight, but there's no reason to. You don't understand. You're just standing in your kitchen, like, what the fuck? And so cognitive behavioral therapy taught me to like ground.
I
count,
went through this.
Count.
Recently.
Yeah, and then abdominal breath, I will tell you, through all my woo-woo, through all my spiritual abuse in the new age world and all that fucking bullshit in yoga and bullshit and all the old philosophies, I'm calling all of it bullshit. Religion is the most dissociative experience ever. What do you think heaven fucking is? It's a dissociative world. It's all a trauma response to escape. So, or our death, So anyway, yeah, religion is all dissociation. I've done so much research on dissociative disorders now that I am just like, what the fuck? We're all dissociative. Like, we have fucked ourselves. But
that's just how we humans are.
Why else do you think Christianity invented a new family? Because you can't rectify your family issues on earth. So you have a father in heaven now. You've got the Virgin Mother as your mother. You're creating an external, like, spiritualized family to solve the issues here in a role play way that you couldn't solve here in your alcoholic center, of your alcoholic family center.
I believe it was created was to keep humans alive and to survive and
give them hope.
No, to things like don't eat things with a hoof, right? Like you can't eat swine, don't eat pig because it's got trichinosis. Don't eat shrimp because of the red tide and you can die like that. Like have a little bit of wine because water's fucked up sometimes. Like
right. So you're talking about the anthropologist's work who discovered clean and unclean, and she's the reason why they were able to make the connect. So when you study anthropology of religion, you study all the major researchers that discovered the real reasoning behind some of these kosher laws. And of course, like you can't have dairy and meat. Well, it's because at some point somebody consumed milk, there was a dead goat head in it or something, and they got sick, right? So she was able to, she's the one that invented clean and unclean in terms of the distribution of why foods were characterized as they were and certain behaviors were characterized as they were, because there's a real link to things that happened, right?
Right. I think that's just part of the human story. Sure. I think for so long we just told stories before we could write. It was all word of mouth, and we just tell people like, "Hey, don't do this during this time of year," or "Don't do this, that." Like,
but see, I think those laws existed, and then they became deified. They became blessed and Mosaic.
Well, then some people wanted power. There was some,
but power comes along relatively late in the religious order of like the organization of it. Like at the beginning, it was just like these really bonding communal things, and religion was not revealed. It just existed around you in the rocks and it was animism. And then slowly but surely then, as we became more agricultural, as we became more centered, polis, city-state, whatever, these leaderships and hierarchies began. And then you have the guy that took the fucking drugs and has the revelation and everybody follows him, for God's sake.
Yeah.
Almost everything is drugs. Like there were actual drugs that you could take in the Middle East that would make you have visions of a burning bush.
That is DMT.
There you go.
It's the acacia tree.
It's the acacia. Exactly. There you go. So Moses was fucking high.
Yeah, he was high on DMT.
Have you read Ezekiel? The guy is fucking tripping. Yeah. Like all of Ezekiel tripping out.
Yeah, there's a UFO in Ezekiel, right?
100%. Like, so yeah, what are we doing? Yeah. What are we fucking doing? Following this bullshit? Are you kidding me right now?
It gives a lot of people comfort. It's a lot of tradition. You want to talk about, look at the Irish. Are you kidding me? That's all they are. Fucking Catholics.
Yeah.
Warring with other
Catholics. They were conquered that way. It was it was a spiritual genocide.
Yeah.
Absolutely their paganism was healthy,
Well.
Probably still sexist, but.
Not Mary, it wasn't.
No. Mary. Hell yeah, Mary. I was going to say about, so everybody was on drugs. And that's the other thing. Why are people clinging to ancient knowledge when they're not going to go to a tarot card reading to solve their cancer?
Wait, what? You should go to a tarot card reading for cancer?
That's what I'm saying. Like, if they're going to go take their chemotherapy, then why are they still praying to a God that doesn't exist for a heaven that's not real?
Well,
why are you still ancient in religion but not ancient in other things? Like, I still can't understand why we can't seem to make the evolutionary leap in our minds to progress beyond this fucking bullshit.
It's anxiety. It's tradition. Okay. It's culture.
No, it's nihilism. It's nihilism.
It's a lot of shit.
And I understand that.
It's your parents. Everything comes down to your parents.
That's why you invented the heavenly family.
I don't know about. Yeah, maybe.
If you look at the quote unquote Old Testament God, the guy is a raging alcoholic.
Yeah, that's why he let Moses bring. Moses was an alcoholic, right? No. Sorry, Noah. Noah was a raging alcoholic, and he made him make the boat.
Yeah, disaster. Yeah, come on.
What a story.
And a Christian fundamentalist would tell you that monogamy exists and that couples exist and that we're supposed to be 2 by 2 because that's how everything was loaded onto
Not
Noah's
me, baby.
Ark. But that's where they go.
Slide in these DMs. You can be my side chick.
But are you non-monogamous?
Yeah. I don't want to be locked down. You kidding me? Do you see this picture behind me? That's a zebra among horses. I'm a zebra. You can't tame me.
So
you can't tame me.
So, but do you?
I'll have
are you
sex
polyamorous?
with you right now, Carrah. Let's go.
No.
No. Podcast over.
But no. What? Are you polyamorous?
Yeah.
So you have multiple partners.
I would.
Okay. But what I'm saying is they would be of equal value. You wouldn't have like somebody you have a domestic partnership with, and then you have people you sleep with.
Nah, I'd be more like that, but open with it. Like, I have a main, but I'm looking for a side.
Yeah.
To like, you know, have fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But would you have fun with your main with the side?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. See, I think monogamy. Yeah, I do. But monogamy is destroying us.
Nah, I'm not a fan.
It's not. It's one of these things that's just like if it
not
were.
fan.
We're just like it's how we're supposed to be. I'm like, the divorce rate would tell you that, would it?
Yeah.
You know, no. People are fucking miserable. Miserable.
Yeah, I am happily divorced. Divorce was the best thing that ever happened to me.
Mm.
Well, outside of my kids, but that should be a given. But like,
you weren't heartbroken at first.
I wanted a divorce.
Oh, okay.
I wanted out. I had to get out. I'm not.
So you fell out of love during the marriage.
Fall out of love. You know what?
Were you ever in love?
I really don't need to be getting into this. I really don't. I can talk to you off air, but this doesn't need to be getting out there. It's fine.
All right, turn it back on me.
I don't even know.
I get very personal because I don't waste time.
I do about everything. I've talked about this situation a lot, but I can't dwell on it anymore. It's in the past. Like, it is what it is. I'm dealing with it, but
right. But monogamy itself, philosophically, are you a person that doesn't ever want a domestic partnership ever?
No, I don't want. I'm never gonna live. I don't think I'm ever gonna live with anybody ever again.
Ever again.
I don't think so. I'm not going to say never. Maybe if something changes when I get older, my kids are out of the house, maybe. But I love what I have. Yeah. I love being a dad when I'm a dad.
Yeah.
I love when it's just me and my 2 kids and it's like, it's family time.
Yeah.
What are we going to do? Let's have some fun. Let's cook. Let's do this or that. I love it. They don't need a stepmom. You know, I don't need to be living with someone else and then have their kids and then have like this blended, like, oh, now we're all, that's not for me. I'm not into that. Damn, I just missed that motherfucker. There's a gnat in here. There's the first gnat of the season. I think I got him. Maybe. But yeah, it's not for me. I just love my freedom. It is what it is. I love my freedom. And I'm not saying the right woman or I don't know. No, it's freedom. It's always freedom. Just that's how I am. I need my freedom. I want to do what I want when I want. Mm-hmm. Like if I don't have my kids and it's just me time, I want to do whatever I want. Mm-hmm. I want to go to the casino. I'm going to go. I want to go to a bar. I'm going to go. If I'm going to go on a trip, I'm going to go. I don't have to work it out with anybody. Oh, hey, babe, you mind if I go with the boys this weekend to go on a golf trip? I'll check in with you. That ain't for me, man. That is not for me. Like, I'm just going to go. But it's hard finding friends that don't have that same luxury, you know? When you got married friends, like, their wives don't want them hanging out with me. I'm a bad influence.
Yeah. No, I get that.
What if they find out how good he has it and he wants a divorce and he wants that lifestyle? I can't do that. I don't work. I can't do that. He makes all the money. What am I going to do? Yeah, so, yeah, don't tie me down.
Well, okay, so attachment styles, you're probably more of an avoidant
Got that right.
Okay. So do
Like
you know that about
the
yourself?
plague.
Okay. Yeah, you're avoidant attachment style.
Yeah. I wasn't always like that, but yeah, maybe I was. Who knows? I don't know.
Yeah, it doesn't really change.
Probably not. You know, I mean, I'm sure it goes back to, you know, my dad abandoning my brother and I at a very young age.
You think?
So I think that, well, I never knew him. God, the fucking fly gnat. So yeah, that's probably where it came from. So yeah, it is what it is. That's me,
How
baby.
old were you?
I don't even remember him.
Really?
I would say 3.5, 4, probably. Yeah. So my brother he's a year and a half younger than me. I'm only guessing at the age. Yeah, and then raised by a single young mom. You know, she was like 18 when she had me.
How is she?
How is she? Amazing.
Good.
You know, she remarried to a military guy, and that's my dad now. Like, that's dad. Like, you know, he's my dad.
Yeah.
I'm his kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, they just got done, or they're in the midst of a trip to Budapest, and then some Viking cruise. I don't know. They're having the time of their life
Hungry.
right now.
Tell them to go to the New York City Cafe in Budapest.
Okay.
It's absolutely gorgeous.
Okay.
Absolutely. I mean,
Maybe they already did it.
It's top 10. Like, literally. It's on my list.
What's on your list for traveling? Do you ever go to South America?
I definitely want to go to Patagonia. I want to see Iguazu Falls.
Where's that?
Iguazu Falls is, I think it's, I want to say Paraguay, Brazil, and Argentina, where those borders meet. It's the largest falls in the world.
Oh, yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah, I want to go there. I've been to Peru.
How is it?
Peru is amazing.
Peru's on my list where
Yeah.
I'm thinking about going there or Ethiopia.
Yeah. Oh, I can. So one of my sisters goes to Ethiopia all the time. I can help you with that.
I've already got the hook up there.
Okay, good.
A good friend of mine is Ethiopian. He
So-
goes back all the time. So he's like, you got to come with me.
Yes.
It's like, maybe I've got some money. I'm like, you know what? Next time he's going
Is
to go.
he in Addis Ababa?
Yep.
Okay. African top 10 is going to be the Mali Blues Festival in Timbuktu. It's a huge concert in the desert. It's been going on since the 1960s. Robert Plant goes there all the time.
Oh,
Jimmy Page
really?
goes all the time. Yeah. So every great American musician goes to Africa every year for this Mali Blues Festival. And that is on my top 10 for Africa. And the largest mud structure in the world is also in Mali. It's the mosque that they rebuild every year. I would love to go to that ceremony where they make the bricks.
Oh, wow.
And they rebuild the mosque every year.
I don't even know what that is.
Yeah, it's the largest mud structure in the world.
This is why you just got to not worry about all these silly cultural issues and just look at all the amazing things
It's
that
amazing.
humans do
Yeah,
around the world.
Well, when it comes to travel, I will find my bliss. Yeah, because that's what I think is still amazing about us as a culture, as a human culture. We still do the live music. We still have the artists. We still want to entertain each other. We still want to have a sense of unity.
You kind of hate America?
Totally.
Why can't you appreciate how great it is?
Because I think it would be better if it could reconcile with its past. I think we could be way better.
Why do we need reconcile with its past? Like, doesn't every country have a pretty bad past?
No, not every country began in genocide.
Sure they did.
No, they didn't.
At some point, it came in. They all got conquered.
Small
somehow.
tribal bands, but no, nobody crossed an ocean and killed every single person and then declared, "Hey,
I
we're
don't-
free."
I think.
I mean, what the fuck? Who does that?
I think a lot of it was an accident.
No, it wasn't. It
Yes,
was
it
all
was.
system. It was religious fundamentalism at its core.
I don't. Sure, you had a lot of that. I don't even think it was that. I think that
Manifest
was used as an
destiny came
excuse.
from Exodus.
I think that was used as an excuse. I think it was really just Columbus trying to get some fucking gold.
Well, Columbus in South America. Okay, so when you're dealing with the Spanish in South America, yeah, I mean, you could say they also began in genocide.
But all mostly of an
The
accident.
colonization.
It's all these diseases.
the age of
we just went
colonization.
went through a pandemic. Like, imagine a real one that kills out, that creates a real genocide. I think, obviously, we didn't treat the Native Americans very well, and we did some horrific things.
No, we slaughtered them. 26 million of them, and a lot of that was by guns.
I think a lot of it was disease, though.
It was, yeah, but a lot of it was also
Accidental
guns, like
disease,
Einsgruppen going
just-
around and shooting them all.
Yeah, that's not a good. That's not good
No.
for sure.
So if we reconcile with that, we heal that, because the survivors of that genocide still
Well,
exist.
what does that mean to you then? How do we reconcile that? What do we do?
You get a Truth and Reconciliation Commission.
What does that mean?
It means you get.
What do we do?
Okay, so you hire.
We've recognized that we've done it.
In what way?
we know that like Native Americans used to live here. We know this was.
And in what formal way have we apologized?
I don't know.
Exactly.
Crazy horse. I don't know. I'm not a Native American.
My plan would be.
Are they asking for an apology? And who's asking for an apology? And which tribe do we apologize to?
Well, but that's what I'm saying is you would have to get a conglomeration or what do they call it? A coalition of chiefs, leaders. You'd have to get equal representation from the members of their people. And you have to meet then with conflict resolution people that also then meet with people of various other settings where there's leaders, Secretary of State being one. And you then create the courts. Okay, so in Rwanda for this, there was the Kakawet courts. And then in South Africa, in Johannesburg, you had the other courts, the reconciliation courts. And direct victims of direct victims. So like, let's say you had a corporation of real estate that took over parts of an Indian reservation or parts of old land or whatever, right? You would probably have the representatives of that corporation meet with the elders of that specific tribe. And then that specific tribe would
This is ridiculous.
No, it's not. It actually heals nations. Are you kidding me right now? This is exactly how it's done. This is how it was done in Rwanda, in Northern Ireland, and in South America, and from Slobodan Milosevic's Serbia.
What's the land mass of those places compared to the land mass of this?
It doesn't matter about land. It's a people.
Yes, it does.
It's a people.
Okay, then so in that tribe, are you also going to have the chief of the Sioux Nation and the chief of the Cherokee Nation? One of them is going to have to apologize to them for what the atrocities they did to those tribes. Like, how far back do you want to go?
It's about airing the grievances to say, as an indigenous person, I can't talk to you without first coming through pain of my people. That's exactly how they have to introduce themselves because there's no other way. If you're going to go up to their reservation, you're going to see they live in poverty. There's no way to interact with these people without seeing their pain first. You have to be able to sit and understand the generational trauma that is carried on by white people that don't acknowledge it and carried on by the indigenous who are continuing to be victims of it. It's a real thing in our DNA, and we have to heal it. And I'm so sick and tired, especially of men who know 95,000 rules of football and basketball and baseball and every other fucking technology thing out there. We went to the fucking moon, and then they sit here and go, this is all so complex. How could this possibly be done? This is too much. It's too big. We went to the moon, but the vast wasteland of Wyoming is too much. You know, it's like, fuck that. We are complex thinkers. Every man I know can tell me, what was that technicality on the football thing? Oh, well, when it's that 5 yardage and this, and then that guy does that, if it's overtime for that, there's a 4-second rule for that, and that's why it converted. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
If you know every single exception to every single rule in football, I think we can handle this. Like, where is the American exceptionalism in this? If you want me to be a patriot, I believe in our possibility for change. I absolutely believe in our possibility to handle huge, complex problems and heal ourselves, for fuck's sake.
Okay.
You know? Like, I just think it's too much. It seems so ridiculous.
I don't think it's that. I just don't think it's. I don't know.
You don't
how
think it's
possible.
necessary?
No,
you don't think? Do you think it's necessary
to do what? Say we're sorry?
To reconcile.
But I don't know what reconciliation looks like. I don't know what that means.
Okay.
What does that mean?
I don't know. I think it's something that we should.
Well,
look
then
at.
you can't get mad if you don't know what a reconciliation. That's what I'm saying. What would it look like? What do we do? I think America has done horrible things to the Native Americans after the genocide.
I think
quote unquote,
a third of all education from 0 to 8th grade. A third of your education would be spent on indigenous living, meaning that you know all the plants, you know all the soils, you know all the trees, you know environment. You know how to work and live in the environment. You know that you are a part of Earth. You know what happened to all the Native Americans. You know why it had to happen. You know the nation, the tribe, and the people who died there on the place that you live. That's what it would look like. Just like they did in Germany when they put all the plaques along all the houses of Jewish people who were pulled out.
What years? First what years?
We should do it now.
Well, you're saying of education, the first few years of that?
0 to 8.
0 to 8.
Is it 8th grade?
0 through 8th grade.
A third of all education is indigenous.
And then what about the atrocities to the African Americans?
I think that goes along also with indigenous. And I think it also is the second stage of that reconciliation. We have to deal with the first cut. And then, although African Americans with the 1619 Project would argue that they were part of the first cut because it began as a business proposition, right? So their argument is America began as a capitalistic venture.
And then are we talking about the other Italians and Irish that came over and were brought off one boat and shipped onto another boat to go fight for a country they just landed on?
Sure. I mean, that's war, right?
Right. That's a civil war.
Churning through bodies. Just churning through fucking bodies, right? Doesn't matter. You're going to heaven. Ah!
Well, maybe.
You know? Or if you're,
But why?
Or if you believe in reincarnation, don't worry, you'll be back. Just sell your whole life for your capitalistic venture and don't worry, you'll come back. You could do it better again. They're going to sell you on that. You got a second chance.
I don't think that's what the Buddhists are selling you on. I don't think it's Buddhists are selling you on communism and coming back like that.
No, but the essence of... So there's an undergird of all religion too, which is labor, right? Labor. Keep you working, keep the system going.
Well, that's like anything. If we were a
tribe... But if you get a second chance, then don't worry so much.
Someone's got to be... You have to be working. You have to work. Part of being a human is you have to work somehow. You have to provide. There has to be working. Not part of being human.
It's part of being in a society. But it's not inherently human.
Yes,
You're not born to work.
Yes, you are.
No, you are not.
One way or another, you have to work to survive.
What about before the agricultural revolution? We were just foraging around.
You don't think that was work? You don't think hunting for animals was work? You don't think pitching teepees?
I think it was living.
You don't think that's work?
No, you wouldn't think about it as work. You wouldn't. It would just be your food and sustenance. It would never occur to you that it was work.
Yes, it is. And you know when it occurs to you when it's work? When you first learn how to start planting fucking corn.
And that's agriculture.
Right. Why did I do that? Because I don't want to have to work and forage for fucking corn and berries all the time. Oh, and I just learned how to make a fence. I wonder what happens if I put a couple animals in there.
So you're saying it happened because they didn't want to have to keep doing that.
Because they want to keep doing that work. It's fucking hard.
Okay.
They want easier work. Humans always have to work. They just want easier work.
But that work is usually made easier by employing more people that do the shitty work.
But do you know how fucking difficult it is to hunt and gather and survive on the land? That is so hard to do. That is real fucking work. And a lot of time it's work you're not coming back with anything. Empty-handed. And then you're starving that night.
Yeah, I know. I get that. And
so yes, humans have to work.
This is very close to our conversation we had before about the agricultural revolution.
You want a little?
Yeah. Oh God. No, I'm still gonna finish this.
It's probably all water.
It's fine.
Probably all water.
It's okay.
Charles?
I'm just gonna finish this.
All right. Well, I'll have a third.
Oh my God. It is. It's Father's Day. You're entitled.
Hell yeah.
It's Sunday. What do you
I'm
mean?
not working.
It's just Sunday for me. Podcast Sunday. I drink.
Okay.
It's that. I should have a T-shirt that says "It's Podcast Sunday. I drink." Trademark it right now. Charles, put it in the books.
It's in.
We just came up with something beautiful there.
Okay.
And on the back it'll say, "I'm sorry, Native Americans."
They don't want your apology. They want your understanding and awareness of who they are.
I tell you what. Again, you're gonna laugh at this. I lived in South Dakota. I moved there at.
South Dakota's the best state ever.
Yes, it is.
It's so fucking awesome.
Shut your mouth. Don't let it get out there.
I know, right? It is.
Because
it is so amazing.
I'm gonna say it used to be so much better, but the word got out, and now you have a bunch of the liberal hippies out there that are like against hunting. And now there's you can't hunt. They don't want you hunting mountain lions. So they're all out there buying up all the mountain lion tags. And all the mountain lions are eating all the fucking deer and elk. There used to be a giant deer population. You could go through Rapid City and see the most amazing mule deer on planet Earth. Just these giant, gorgeous racks. Like, just incredible. Everywhere. It wasn't rare. And now they're almost nowhere. It's like these.
I'm not going to get depressed about fat cats.
Why? We don't need more of them. We don't need more predators. There's less deer out there.
But wouldn't the cat population then do its own thing? Like if there wasn't enough food, the cats would die off. Doesn't it all work?
You want all those deer to fucking die off? Just
no, I'm
so
saying
the
wouldn't
cats
it eventually?
can live?
But wouldn't the cats eventually die themselves once the population of deer goes down?
Yeah, they're gonna,
and then it would just kind of
yes.
go back and
Nah,
cycle.
It goes back in like a bunch of starving cats and a bunch of cats that are fighting each other, and then you know what's going to happen? You think
They're going to eat humans.
Exactly. Who's an easier target than deer? Like, we're fucking starving. You don't think you walking your 6-year-old and you just let your 6-year-old go play off 100 yards away from you while you're texting on your phone that they're not going to jack that 6-year-old? Mountain lions are monsters. They're beautiful, but they're monsters. You don't want them all over the place.
Especially at the Sturgis Motorcycle Rally.
Yeah. They're going to just wait for one of those motorcycles and just pounce on it like it's a gazelle.
You're supposed to attack a cat if they
Now,
attack you.
there's one thing humans have really figured out, and our government. I don't give our government credit for dick. They are awful. We can get going here in a minute. You keep checking your watch.
I have not checked my watch once.
Where's your on your right arm? Oh, you went like this. I was like, oh, you're checking your watch.
I have not once checked my...
Okay. Sorry, I thought you were checking your watch. What humans do well and our government does well, which I don't give them credit for anything, but wildlife management and wildlife preserves. Like, we've done an incredible job of counting numbers. We got people out there counting how many deer and elk and moose and coyotes and wolves and all this shit are out there. And they go, all right, humans, you get to hunt this amount this year. You know, however many thousand it is, go out there and shoot them. Bring food home to your family. And it just keeps it all in a wonderful balance.
You know who's really good at doing stuff like that?
Don't say nature.
The indigenous.
Nah.
They're pro-hunting.
They're pro-hunting.
They're some of the only people in the United States that can still hunt bald eagles.
Which indigenous are we talking about?
Almost all Native Americans have a relationship with nature in that they understand population control and everything else, and they understand feeding family.
Oh, no. In fact, what happened was, as soon as the Native Americans got weapons, sorry, not weapons. They've always had weapons. As soon as they got access to rifles, they were on pace to slaughter all the bison.
Well, that's humans in general. This is humans in general. Okay, so yeah, we can talk in different sections, right?
Yeah.
So whenever humans got to a new continent, they killed everything. I mean, this is
the Native Americans that were living here forever were on the path of doing that once they got firearms.
Yes. Eventually, when restoration, became a part of their, because they've been like champions of environmental restoration for a long time. They know what trees to plant to clean up a river and stuff. They know all the different things you can do. But they know. So you're right about like which Native Americans, right? Because there are ones that are very concentrated in understanding wildlife populations and what to do and not to overfish. Like Northwestern Native Americans knew a lot about fish populations. I just think that would be another thing to include, because I'm not necessarily anti-hunting. I would be more on your side in terms of like, make sure it's smart, make sure it's within line of how it all works.
Oh, they do an amazing job of that. It's incredible. And then, but that can get ruined when you have people like PETA and these anti-hunting groups out there getting in the way because they think they're smarter than everybody else, and just there's just these hunters that have small dicks and just want to shoot their guns and kill animals. Like, they just have the wrong idea. They think a lot of hunters are out there that are just shooting things and just leaving it to die. Like, I just want to kill. You can't.
I've actually never met a hunter that does that.
No, you can't. It's illegal. You can't do that, and it's unethical. It's immoral. Like, hunters have strong ethics.
I agree with that.
Most hunters do. You can find some numbskulls like you can anywhere else. They're going to be the same idiots that are putting on a white robe and at a Klan rally. And I think idiots like that.
Right.
But there's real hunters out there that
it's like any population.
Fuck, they're respectful.
Yes. And they do it for therapy. And there's a lot of vets who are hunters that do it for PTSD. They got to get out there. They got to be in nature. I don't disagree with any of that. Like, I think respect can look different for different people,
Yeah.
And I think that, I would say also, competitive versus cooperation can be very different things. You know what I mean? Hunters can be competitive, but hunters can also be part of the cooperation in terms of like
both.
helping the environment. You know what I mean?
I think competitive is good for for raising everything.
Right, but my issue is always like, you're not conquering anything, you're living with something. Even if you're able to kill it, it doesn't make you a conqueror.
Maybe not conquerors. I don't know.
And I don't think it's a sign of dominion either.
No, I don't think anybody's looking at it like that.
I think people are.
I think
So
you look at it as
their foot is on top of a head of a rhino. They're looking at Dominion.
That's a different thing.
Yeah.
Okay. That's
Yeah.
a whole nother thing. That's
But what
a different
about
thing.
what about the?
That's not a real hunter.
But
That's
what about the
something
rack
else.
on the wall?
Okay, let me tell you about the rack on the wall. I'm a hunter. Look, I got a rack right here.
Okay.
I didn't kill that thing.
Yeah.
I know the person that did kill it. However, so the rack on the wall is a bunch of different things. One,
Please include masculinity.
no, it has nothing to do. There are plenty of females out there. They've got a lot of giant racks on their walls and are proud of those things. So it is. I'm a bow hunter. I think any asshole can shoot a deer with a rifle, and it's fine. It's an efficient way to get meat, and I'm down with that. But I don't respect a giant rack if you kill them with a rifle. Big fucking deal. I'm a bow hunter. It's incredibly hard to shoot a deer with a bow. You have to get extremely close. You got to be silent. You got to out-trick them. And a lot of times these people will hunt a piece of land and they understand that there's like 5 different bucks on here. This one's like 3 years old. This one's 4 years old. This is an old 7-year-old and he's got a giant rack. I'm after him. He's smart. No one's killed him in 7 years. He does this. He's a smart deer. You'll never kill him. You'll spend that 4-year-old with a giant rack walks by you. That would look good on my wall, but I got to get that 7-year-old, that giant one. Like that's a record book deer. I got to get that one. I'm waiting for him. And they're like, I got him on my trail camera. He was on this tree last week. I think he's going this route. I'm going to set up over here. So it's this whole thing. It can take months and months. It can take years to kill a specific deer that you're just trying to get. And you develop a relationship. It's really weird, but you'll develop a weird relationship with it. And then finally you get them. You get them. And by the way, you give them an honorable best death that deer could ever have. Because you know what happens if you don't get him? He's either going to grind his teeth and be on gums and he's going to starve to death, or he's going to get eaten alive by coyotes when he's too weak. You know.
So how much of you inside of yourself, if you do, reflect on how this is passed down from like ancient times, this idea of hunting? It's
nothing that you can explain.
Okay.
It's not until you
So
actually
you do feel it.
Oh my God.
Okay, so talk to me about that.
It is. So I take it. It hits me in a way nothing else can. I go crazy.
So you feel ancestral, or you feel more human, or you feel what, prehistoric? What do you feel?
I feel peace.
Okay.
I'm in nature by myself. There's nothing. I'll go all by myself in the middle of nowhere. And I've mapped out, I took all this time to figure out where I think I want to go to. And I'll park my truck. I don't have a truck anymore. I'll park my car. I'll put a backpack on, a tree stand on, my bow. I've got like 40, 50 pounds of gear with me. And I'm ready to hike through hills, over the river and through the woods, a couple miles back where nobody else is going. No one puts in that work. They're going to go the average hunter goes a couple 100 yards away from their truck, and that's where they're hanging out. I'm going back there. I want to be in the middle of nothing. And then you just like in the dead of night, you walk. You know how scary it kind of is to walk through the woods.
Right. No, yeah, it's a survival thing, sure.
Like
no,
all
but it's
by
also
yourself?
You're talking also about relationship to self. Like,
Yeah,
how do you
yeah.
calm yourself down?
Yep.
How do you engage in this environment where you know there's a reward, but it's terrifying to get there?
Yeah.
Like, I think there's a vision quest about it.
Yeah,
you know?
maybe. It's just like you're going through a couple miles of the woods in the pitch black. Maybe you have a little flashlight, but still, you don't know. You're hearing noises. You're seeing things.
Yeah.
And then you finally get to it, and then I like to do a tree stand. So I find the tree, and I climb up this tree, and I'm about 20, 30 feet up in the air. And it's like you get put in the middle of like a secret. Nobody knows what's going on in this part of
I've never
this world.
heard that.
Like
I want to write about this now.
You get like squirrels doing shit. Nothing knows you're there. You're just like this little fly on the wall to see how nature's going. You're hearing stuff. You're seeing.
So you stink like mad, I'm sure.
Think like mad, but also
or stink. I'm saying like they know you're there.
No,
you don't think?
No. You have to. That's part of the fight against deer, especially with bow hunting, because this deer, that's number one defense is its nose. It trusts its nose more than it trusts its eyes. It can see you, and maybe if it moves a little bit, it's gonna be like, I think I see something, but if it doesn't smell you, it's going to be a little weirded out, but fine. But if as soon as that thing smells any part of you, their tail goes up and they start bouncing away. Like it's all
So
about
how do
their
you
nose.
conceal your scent?
You got special clothing for one that's got carbon inside of it.
Oh, okay.
And when you put it in the dryer, it reactivates the carbon and it keeps some stuff in. There's special laundry soap you can use. There's special soap, body soap, and hairspray you can use. There's spray. I use rubber boots because scent won't stay under rubber. And I keep it all sealed. I don't wear it anywhere. I like keep it sealed in a bucket type thing. And as soon as I park my truck, I turn it off. I give it a minute so the exhaust goes away. I don't want to smell like that. Then I hop out of my truck. Then I'm in my underwear. It's like 4:30 in the morning, 20 degrees out. I'm in my underwear, and then I put all my hunting clothes on because it's all fresh. It doesn't have any scent on it, and then I go out there.
Yeah. So have you been with a deer while they died?
I've watched plenty of deer die.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you something. The big giant rack type deer putting on your that was where you're getting at that's where it comes from, because it's you put in that work and it's an accomplishment and it's respect for it, and you're using every part of that deer. For me, I'll shoot anything. I don't need a rack. I'll shoot a doe. I am so ecstatic to shoot a doe. No rack at all. It comes under me, boom. If it's brown, it's down. That's my motto. Because I ultimately, not only the experience am I there for, I'm there for the meat. I love venison. I'm going to eat every part. I'm going to butcher it myself. I'm going to eat every part of that thing. I'm going to have some chili, some spaghetti, some
Have you taught your
steaks.
son how to do this?
Not yet.
Okay.
He's probably this year is probably we'll start doing some shit like that.
And was that passed down from your dad?
It kind of was. Yeah. I was always into that kind of, like, I was fishing as a very young lad. So I was always into that world. Like, I think fishing's the same world. It's that gateway drug.
Yeah. Well, I hung out with fly fishermen, and they were, one of them at least,
Fly fishing's great.
got their bachelor's in river systems. You know what I mean? Like they were
cool.
pretty serious about stuff, naturalists, and they were always catch and release, and they were super strict about it.
That is the weird thing about fly fishermen, because they mostly do it for the sport. Which I was a fly fisherman.
Well,
I used to tie my own flies.
But they'll hold one over for dinner. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
But they're very strict about catch and release.
Yeah, fly fishers are, because that's a different. So fly fishing, you're mainly doing it in streams, and streams aren't very long in the grand scheme of things. Maybe however many miles, but they're still not crazy long, especially where the fish are where they tend to hold up in a stream. And fly fishing is such a big sport where so many people are doing it. Like I said, Rapid City is where I lived. Fly fishing is huge there. And you have to, if everybody were to catch fish there, there'd be nothing left for the next guy. So you have to do it for the next person. It's just.
Yeah. I was in North Conway, New Hampshire. We were
Right.
smoking cigars all day to get the flies away.
Oh,
Yeah.
good move.
Yeah. You got to keep.
Tip.
Yep. You got to smoke cigars, and it keeps all the flies away from you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because DEET, you can use DEET. We had DEET on
DEET,
the.
you can't use DEET. That gives you shit cancer, man.
Well, but
Can't be
you
using
put
that
DEET on the back of your wrists, and you're able to do it that way because you can't put it on your hands because it dissolves the fishing line.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You think you want that on your skin?
Right,
You think you want
exactly.
something on your skin
Totally.
that develops
Right.
fishing line?
Well, but those are flies in New England,
Oh, yeah.
like the double saw flies, like they go into your skin.
There's those black flies, we called them. They look like little triangles, and they will take chunks out of your skin. Yeah. The further north you get, Charles, the further north you go, the more deadly the little fucking insects, the little flies. Like I said, I was born and raised in Michigan.
I was just gonna say, like your nice little cabin in Michigan is not gonna be.
No,
so
I
good.
lived way up north in Michigan too.
Oh, you were Upper Peninsula?
Almost.
Okay.
I was about an hour,
Top of the Mitt?
hour and a half from Mackinac.
Yeah.
And our state bird up there is the mosquito.
Right.
Archer, Charles, I saw a mosquito so big in Michigan, it had a tick on it. No, nothing.
No. That was good though. He's along for the ride.
I saw one of those horse flies up there so big it had braces.
Oh my God. No, I was in Wisconsin,
Yeah.
Several summers. They got lots of flies.
Yeah.
It's so bad.
It's the dairy capital of the world. Of course they got flies.
God. Worse.
All right, so you don't love America, but come on, we got some amazing shit here. We got great artists. We got great music. We got great entertainment. Like, can't you look at all of that stuff and be like, we've got exceptional talent and exceptional entertainment?
When I go to different countries, or I experience or feel a love of America, or when I get that sort of American feeling, I always like to describe it as the word zeal. I think America has zeal. I think it's like, my vision is like these, great strong dancers doing jazz runs down Fifth Avenue, or down actually in Times Square, 7th Avenue. Like, I think of these ideas of like, West Side Story, these great artists, even our classical artists. That's all great. It's all good. I love that American zeal, American oomph. Traveling, when they talk about like, hey, you guys have freedom. I do that.
Right.
That's what zeal is to me. That sense of freedom. It's the sense of like ecstatic, like I can be anything I want, and that doesn't happen necessarily in other places, right? Choice is different here too.
We're the only country that has freedom of speech.
No, we're not.
Who else has it?
All of Europe.
Really?
Yes.
How'd that go during COVID?
England, Canada.
They don't have it. Canada?
Canada has free speech. Yes,
Are
they
you
do.
kidding me?
Canada has free
They're
speech.
the head of the culture war of, why do you think Jordan Peterson got in trouble? You think it's because he's some weird sexist? It's because he said, I won't be compelled to use your speech. If I have to use your speech, I'm going to jail. You know what's going on with that guy? Like, they don't have free speech up there.
Jordan Peterson is an asshole.
It doesn't mean he's not right.
Well, if you're an asshole, by definition, you're not right.
What? Well, who's definitely... all right, sure. He's just...
If you're
why is he an asshole?
Because he's a fucking racist sexist. He's
my
awful.
God.
He's a horrible person.
Oh, my God.
You can't dignify him. That's like dignifying Tucker Carlson.
Well, oh, my God. Really?
Tucker Carlson's a piece of shit. He's more than an asshole. He's a piece of shit.
Tucker
made a whole career out of something he doesn't even believe in. He's a charlatan. He's a hypocrite.
I don't believe that. I think he's even apologized for some of the things that he's changed his mind on, especially about the weapons of mass destruction.
I'm sorry.
And going all that. I think we need Tucker Carlson right now.
No, we don't.
Are you kidding me? Fox News didn't want him.
Yeah.
Why?
That's how bad it is.
Why didn't he want him? Why didn't they want him?
Because he exposed exactly what Fox News was about. He admitted he didn't even like Trump. And then he went on to say, white people don't fight like that. Are you fucking kidding me? Well, you're going to tell me he's not racist?
I don't know.
I mean, seriously.
I don't know.
Be a little more obvious.
I don't think he's racist at all.
What do you know about the Rwandan genocide?
The Hutus and Watutsis?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you know
Hutus, Watutsis?
Hutus and Watutsis, and the Tutsis. I think it's just the Tutsis.
Yeah.
So
no, they're Watutsis.
Watutsis? Okay.
Do the Watutsi. No.
Okay. But what was the major mitigating factor that started the whole genocide?
Was that, I don't know, diamonds?
The radio.
The radio?
The radio. So when you look at Fox News and what it's doing, it is not innocent. Did you just take your fourth?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not pro Fox News at all. I'm not saying they're innocent.
But that's how dangerous it is. It's all it takes is feeding people's minds with shit.
Do you know who they're paid by? Who pays Fox News? The same people that plays CNN, same people that pays MSNBC. It's all pharmaceutical and Raytheon, big industrial military complex. You know why they got rid of fucking Tucker? Because he started speaking the truth about Ukraine. He's talking about how Russia has a fucking kind of a point in this, and why are we spending our money in Ukraine? He's very against the Ukraine and the war in there. He's like at least spending money on it. What do you mean no? You're shaking your head no. Yeah, he's against it and he's exposing it. He's exposing all that's going on over there.
Bullshit.
Okay.
He went in and took Crimea, and then he used that as a pretense to say,
Who? Biden?
Putin went in and took Crimea.
He's trying to.
He took it. He annexed it. Putin annexed Crimea. And
Look,
Obama didn't do anything about it. Nobody did anything about it. So then he incurs on this other
Obama
region.
didn't do it. You know who did it? You know who did the coup? Who did that coup over there with Burisma?
What was that?
The oil company. And that was all the whole Biden shit. Everything all Biden is about is that fucking Burisma deal with his son. You know what's going on with that? Now, come on.
Are you going to do a Hunter Biden thing?
No, but
if you know anything about Hunter Biden, please tell me. I know nothing about it.
You don't know anything about him?
No, because it's bullshit.
I want to party with him. I want to party with him.
An addict. You want to party with an addict who destroyed people.
So fun. I want him on the podcast. He looks
troubled and traumatized.
Hunter Biden, get your partying ass on Neandertalk Podcast. We're going to drink. You know, I'll watch you do crack. I'm not doing it. I'll have a couple prostitutes in here for you that they can just hang out with. Like, I've got to party with him. Come on, you tell me that dude's not a good time. You talk about
Hunter Biden like he's a time in Tijuana. Like, I mean,
that's
seriously.
what he is. That's what he is. I want to hang out with that guy. That guy would be fun in Vegas.
No, the man is broken.
Broken people are the most fun to hang out with.
Not necessarily.
That guy
You don't want to aid and abet that.
I'm not aiding and abetting it necessarily, maybe a little, but I'm having fun.
So what's Burisma? Talk to me about this thing they've cooked up as being something.
They haven't cooked it up. I'm not. Well, there was a coup that Biden put on. I don't remember how years. What 2008 was it? Biden goes in there and they were investigating. Oh my God, I'm too drunk to think about this.
You're talking about Ukraine?
Yes, in Ukraine. He went in there and was like, "There's a prosecutor that's going to prosecute this guy," and I can't talk on it. I'm too drunk and I don't remember. I was going to do a bunch of research before having you on, and I just didn't have. I just got. It was a long week. This is my sixth podcast this week.
Oh my God!
I went ham this week, so I just didn't have time to go in it. But there was a coup where Biden had one of the prosecutors fired. And then, in order that happened, and this other dude took over, and then hired Hunter Biden on the Burisma oil, or nuclear energy, some kind of energy company, where the dude doesn't speak the language or know a thing about that, and is getting paid like $500,000. There's these emails of like, don't forget to pay the big guy. The big guy is Joe. I'm really doing my podcast a disservice by not laying it out correctly the way it should be.
But I don't know many people that are actually talking about this at all, though. So
that makes sense.
I mean, in general, in like world knowledge wise.
Oh, a lot of stuff is hidden on purpose. Like the shit that's coming out on Biden and the corruption. You know, he has like how many businesses? Like all these shell corporations. One's like named like, I don't remember the exact name. Let's just say let's call it Solara. And then he's got one called Solara Bravo. And then another company called Solara Charlie. Like, he's not even fucking coming up with cool names. He's just naming them Alpha Bravo Charlie. And then they're like these shell corporations of like these different nations just feeding money into it. There's a lot. Everybody knows Biden's the most corrupt politician we've had in a very long time. Right?
You really think that? You think he's more corrupt than Trump?
Oh, I don't think it's even close.
You think he's more corrupt than Cheney?
They're probably in the same league. They're probably in the same league for sure. Cheney's a motherfucker. Cheney was running this shit. You think Bush was running shit?
Well, Cheney's a sociopath, and that's what's frightening.
Well, who do you think runs our fucking country ever?
A lot of sociopaths.
It's all sociopaths.
Well, a Christian fundamentalist is a sociopath.
No.
You don't think so?
I think they can be, but I don't think, no, by and large,
all of
Christian
them all of them,
no.
okay, first of all, the embodiment of Botox.
How many, like, straight Christian fundamentalists do you know that are, like, what does that mean to you? Someone that believes the Bible wholeheartedly?
Okay, so Pence, for instance, Josh Hawley, for
Pence
instance,
is weird.
Ted Cruz, Marco Rubio. All these people believe the Bible is the word of God. They also believe in purity culture.
Oh, okay.
They believe that they're going to heaven. They believe that Jesus Christ died for them.
I don't think, I think they can believe that, but I don't think that dictates all of their policies and everything that they do.
Yes, it does.
Oh, Josh Hawley. I kind of like Josh Hawley.
These people
like
are
Josh
so
Hawley.
embedded in the Christian fundamentalist movement in which they believe they are to take over the government. That is their belief. They are educated on this.
Yeah, I don't like that.
There's a whole underground out there that this is their job, to take over the government and rule America as a Christian nation. This is not a small movement either.
I love it.
It's all the Christian fundamentalists.
Okay, you know what's great about that? It's because I love a good conspiracy theory. I'm all about lizard people and hearing about different...
But this isn't a conspiracy.
Exactly. That's what every conspiracy theorist says.
No.
Like this, but you also have that same conspiracy that there's all these pedophiles and all these Epstein Island type peoples that are trying to get the left in charge to do all this other stuff.
That's
there's
all...
always these conspiracies about the left and the right and this...
What's true about... So every conspiracy theory has some truth to it, right? That's what makes it so interesting and believable. What is true is there's a lot of pedophiles out there.
Yeah.
But that's been going on for a really long time, like millennia. Okay, it's called the Catholic Church. It's called the Southern Baptist Convention. It's called whatever you want to call it.
Any
organization is just littered and filled with pedophilia.
It goes back
Mary
to Muslim.
was 14.
Can we say some Muslim countries in that too?
Mary was 14 or 15. She was God is a hebephile. So hebephilia is what Trump's into. Raping 13-year-olds.
Don't put that on him. I don't think he's into
absolutely.
That. I don't
100%. I can tell by the sound of his voice. He
Come
has raped
on!
a 13-year-old.
Okay, this is what happens if you start putting Trump in this other category, like saying ridiculous stuff like that.
No,
you have no credibility for the real shit that he's doing.
Look up the depositions from those girls.
I don't believe.
All the interviews that Howard Stern has done with them, all the people that have like come through the cracks and were at those parties, that happened all the time with very powerful men. It is a thing. Hebephilia is a thing. God raped Mary and forced her to give birth.
What do you think Biden? We have him on camera sniffing all these little girls' hairs.
He's gross, but I don't think he's a hebephile. He's gross. I don't think he's a hebephile.
Will you just defend any Democrat?
No. I think they're impotent. I think that they're unimaginative and lazy. And I don't think they understand what's at stake or how to do anything.
Who'd you vote for last president?
Biden? Why would I vote for Trump?
Why would you vote for either one of them?
Because I can't let the whole system crash if Trump is if Trump would be the failure. That man should die. Honestly, he
wild.
Is malignant.
That's so wild.
He is unsafe.
That is so wild.
He definitely stole nuclear secrets.
Okay.
He absolutely did. That is exactly what a narcissist would do.
What's he doing with these secrets?
He's going to sell them to hostile countries.
Russia?
To Iran.
Are you kidding me?
Absolutely.
That dude ain't doing nothing like that.
That dude is.
No, he's not.
Yes, he is. Why would you give him the benefit? Have you ever had a relationship with a narcissist?
Yeah, I was married to one.
Okay, they don't have boundaries. They don't care about anybody but themselves. They do not give a shit.
Exactly.
Trump does not care about you.
He doesn't. He cares about himself. And do you really think Trump, who's pro-America, who's MAGA, who puts his name...
doesn't give a shit about America.
No, stop. He cares about what America thinks about him. He wants to be the face of America. He's always going to want to be the face of America. He always wants that. Do you think he's going to go total heel and sell nuclear codes to fucking Iran or whoever?
To get himself out of debt, yes.
No, he doesn't need to get out of debt. He lives a lavish life.
$300 million in debt.
It doesn't matter. Look how he's living. You think that matters to him? He lives in Mar-a-Lago. He could be the next president. He does what he wants when he wants.
Exactly.
Money's not real.
Money's not shit.
Right. So why would he care about getting out of debt when he's already living baller's lifestyle? He does what he wants when he wants. Make him a billion trillion under in debt.
He only wants to be the most important person in the room, whatever room he's in. He absolutely
but you're making no
stole
sense.
Secrets. No, they don't. No, they don't. First of all, Obama had absolutely no scandals. None.
Ask Yemen what the scandals he had. Ask Flint
Yemen
about the scandals he had.
Flint,
ask Julian Assange about the fucking
Flint was not an Obama scandal.
Fuck that.
Flint was not an Obama scandal. Flint was a governor of Michigan scandal.
You're insane.
Flint was a governor of Michigan
You're
scandal.
insane.
You can't put Flint on Obama. Obama didn't make the decision to go to the Flint fucking river.
No, you know what he did do?
He didn't do shit.
You know what he did do?
He didn't do anything.
He gaslit Flint. He gaslit the American people.
No, it's that he neglected them.
No. He went into Flint and said, "Oh, you know what I'm going to do
I'm
with
gonna
this
drink
water?
the water. It
Watch
was all
this.
bullshit. Hated him for
I'm
it.
going to gaslight you guys, and guess what?
Hated
Don't
him
worry,
for
the
it.
water's good. The water's still fucked up there.
Hey, it's totally fucked up.
Obama,
Hated him for it.
Obama started like 8 or 9 different wars. Obama against whistleblowers was atrocious. Nobody put more people in prison than Obama for whistleblowing. When before he got elected, if you went to Obama.com, it was like, we are pro whistleblowers. Whatever you say, come out here. He gets put in office. That disappears from the website. And then ask Julian Assange, ask Chelsea Manning. They're all fucking, Chelsea's out now, but now she's fucked. They put her in solitary confinement for however many years for doing what? For exposing the truth, whistleblowing, coming out. And so no, Obama was the worst president in history when it came to whistleblowers and it came to truth and transparency. He was so against that. It's ridiculous. You want to talk about it, the biggest gaslighter? Why do people love him? Because he was a great orator. Because he was a wonderful statesman. He could speak really well. He was funny and good looking. But when you look at his policies, they were atrocious.
Do you think he was in the office to ingratiate himself?
I think he will. I think he had I don't know why he was in office. He was friends with the Bushes and friends with the Clintons.
But he actually hugged his wife too, right?
Yeah, he didn't have good. Congratulations, you didn't cheat on your wife.
Congratulations, you're actually human.
I don't think he's human.
Trump is not.
I
Trump
don't think.
is
How about?
a sadist.
Oh, hey, bankers. How about I bail you out? But when I get out of here, I'm gonna go ahead and do a couple speeches for a few $100,000 for 15 minutes of work. Go ahead and pay me $1 million to show up and say 10 minutes of a speech. Yeah, you don't think those go hand in hand? Get out of here. I know it's the cool thing to love Obama because he's like this Democrat that did things so great. He's just as corrupt and fucked up as all the rest of them.
No, Trump isn't in a league on his own. No, Trump is in a league on his own.
And who hates Trump? Who hates Trump? Who hates Trump? FBI? Do the FBI hate him? That's a yes. Does the CIA hate him? Yeah. Chuck Schumer even said to Trump, hey, guess what? Don't fuck with the CIA. I really advise you against this. They have 6 waves from Sunday to make it fucking make you pay.
Who else hates
and guess
Trump?
what's going on right now? All the establishment hate Trump. Why? Because he is anti-war. Is he against the swamp? He is, but his own narcissism and his own bullshit got in the way, and he hired the wrong people. He hired more swamp people.
How can you defend him? Tell me
He's got Mike Pompeo in there.
How do you defend him?
I'm defending him because I think everybody's against him. The CIA, the FBI, the establishment government is against him. Why? When those people are against him, that makes me think, why is he threatening their power? Here, their power is being threatened somehow, and they don't like it. You don't think, how many presidents could they arrest for the exact same documents and files that he has? This is a bullshit fucking charge that they're just using like any other banana republic to get rid of their opposition. Biden's using his power to go after Trump so he doesn't have to go against him because he knows he's going to lose. And I don't think it's Biden. I think it's the Biden camp. I think it's people. I don't think Biden's just a fucking pump at this now. He's too dumb and old.
The DOJ has to be objective, though. They can't.
They have to, but they're not. We know that they're not. We know the FBI is not objective.
But
we
the
know the
federal
CIA is
judge
not
in
objective.
Florida was appointed by Trump.
I don't care. That doesn't mean shit to me. That doesn't mean he's not affiliated with higher powers than that. Trump is very temporary. But I think he threatens a lot of established people, and they don't like him. They don't like a narrative. They don't like that he's saying, I'm going to go. Who do you think's more threatened? Regular people or Raytheon in the military-industrial complex when Trump says, I will end this conflict with Ukraine and Russia in 24 hours. Do you know how much money we are giving away? Do you know how much money Raytheon's making right now on all these weapons deals?
Do you think Trump has the ability to end it in 24 hours?
I think he has a better chance than Biden. Do you think Biden's talked to Putin? He hasn't. Biden hasn't had a single phone call with Putin, but he's going over to Zelensky. When I was talking about that coup earlier with Burisma, a lot of this has to go back to doing that shit. He put out different Russians. He made sure Russians got put out of office to put these special Ukrainians in that they wanted. And there was fucking shit that happened a while ago. And now Trump's like, yo, I can come in and fix this shit. Putin didn't do this shit while Trump was in president, because Trump was like, yo, Putin, if you fuck with Ukraine, if you cross that border, I'm dropping a nuke on Moscow. He said that to him. Putin doesn't know if that's really true, but he knows Trump's a little bit crazy and it could be true. Like, he's like...
See, to me, the reason why the CIA, the FBI, and all those government agencies hate Trump is because he's unstable.
That's not true.
And every single text that has been released, every single text from FBI agents or anything that they've been caught with that has been released, or military people, it's always a memo saying, this guy is fucking fucked. They don't trust him. He's unstable.
Too bad you have
He's
to.
a
We
fucking crazy
elected
dude.
him. I didn't vote for him, by the way, but we elected him. He's in charge.
Okay, so let's talk about how uneducated we are.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. That's our system. And if you put that man in charge, then the CIA, FBI, all of these people have to trust them, because this is the elected person. I didn't elect you, Comey. I didn't elect you.
Enough reasonable
Fauci,
men.
I didn't elect you, Fauci. This is the guy. So when we elect him, you have to listen to him. And we're like, oh, I don't think he knows what he's talking about. That's the establishment.
So what about the Mad King?
That's the status quo. Then let to be the Mad King. Then we are the people we got elected who we deserved, because that's who we picked. Let's see what the madness really is going to be, because the madness isn't really here. It's the establishment.
No, he's mad.
No, fine. But what's that bringing? He went to fucking North Korea and had a fucking real relationship. No other president did that and had a real relationship. It doesn't matter.
It's all performative. He's a narcissist. He'll say anything to get through the moment.
It doesn't matter if it works. If it works.
No, he's fucking off his. He is dangerous and off his rocker. He's fucked.
All right, Carrah, have we ever been this close to nuclear annihilation ever in our history?
That's Putin.
This is worse than... No, it's not.
That's Putin.
That didn't happen while Trump was in office, did it? It happened when a weak-ass 80-year-old...
Because Putin is holding his money.
It had an 80-year-old
Who gave Trump all his
Biden
money?
That's falling up the stairs.
Who gave Trump
can't
all of his
finish
money?
a fucking sentence.
Please.
Get out of here. He's like, I smell weakness. And if there's one person that's going to smell weakness and go on that, you know who that's going to be? It's going to be a fucking KGB top of the mind dude. That's Putin. I smell
Putin's
weakness.
Another narcissist.
Putin is a badass.
No, he's not. He's a fucking loser. He's suffering from short man syndrome. The guy is weak. That's the other thing that's so interesting.
Putin's
is that
a bad
Trump
motherfucker.
and Putin are weak, and they're into like all this saber rattling because it makes them look tough. They're fucked people. They really are better off dead.
Biden's doing the saber rattling, and Biden's now saber rattling with
With
China.
who?
With China.
No, that is the military-industrial complex that's saber rattling with China.
Biden's saying it.
No, you got people. You got the senators.
Biden's saying it. Biden's saying we will do
senators.
anything to protect Taiwan.
Great, fine. They should.
No, they shouldn't.
Republican senators are the ones now beefing up, along with the military, talking about how we're eventually going to end up in a world war with China. You know how you avoid a world war with China? Starting diplomacy now and talking about it instead of talking about getting into a war.
Hey, how about this? How about you want to avoid nuclear war and world war? Stop giving Ukraine billions of fucking dollars.
So what happens if Ukraine falls?
Who gives a fuck?
What do you mean who gives a fuck?
I don't care. That's not my part of the world.
You don't think that affects you if Ukraine gets stomped on?
I think the NATO should have stopped fucking advancing borders back when they promised they would. But yet they keep advancing these borders towards Russia when they promised we won't advance borders past this point. We won't go past, and then they start going. Then they go past Germany and they start getting closer and closer. And Russia was like, stop. This is a fucking red line. Stop. And they keep going. They're like, look, Ukraine is on our border. You put NATO there. You put military bases. You put missiles aiming to us. That's a fucking red line. Stop doing that shit. Who cares? We're doing it anyways. You don't think we would have an issue if Russia put fucking missiles on Cuba? Oh, hello, Cuban Missile Crisis. Hey, how about if they put them on Canada or Mexico? You don't think we would have an issue and go to war with that? This isn't an unprovoked war. Russia has been cool, but they're like, stop coming closer, and they keep coming closer, and we're pushing them and pushing them. I'm not justifying it, but they've warned us. They've said for years, don't come up to us, and we keep pushing and we keep daring them. Why? Military-industrial complex. We can send more money. Who's getting paid for all this money going to fucking Ukraine? So no, stop giving them money. Let them figure out. How about put money? We just had, do you know where I-94 is in like Philadelphia, one of the biggest highways in the country, just collapsed. And they have to shut it down. That's our infrastructure. How about the homeless population? Have you seen Skid Row? It ain't Skid Row. It's Skid LA. It's fucking crazy with all the homeless people out there. But we've got $58 billion. We got this much $1 billion.
All
They
we have
keep
to do-
spending over there in Ukraine.
So
No,
stop
put that
spending on the
money
defense
here.
budget. Let's cut.
Exactly. That's why I said earlier, Carrah, and I said,
Stop spending on the defense budget.
Yeah, you know who agrees on the defense budget? The Republicans and the Democrats.
They're strong-armed to it.
No. And you're too afraid to vote for the Green Party. I voted for Biden because I'm afraid it could be Trump.
Yeah.
Everybody speaks like that. And if everybody that spoke like that, vote for a different fucking party, a third party, then we can make real change.
Idealism.
But when we got people like you voting for fucking Biden, shit's never going to change.
I agree.
When you're so worried about Trump doing this and Trump's the evil person, nothing's going to change because people like you vote for Biden.
I am that worried about Trump.
Well, Biden's the fucking bigger issue and the bigger fucking
white
danger.
supremacy is the biggest issue.
That's fucking a fucking bullshit answer.
No. That's
such
Trump.
a cop-out.
That's Trump.
Not Get out of here.
If Nazis are showing up to your rallies, you have a problem.
Who do you think's supporting the Nazis in Ukraine right now?
There are no Nazis in Ukraine.
We got to turn this off. If you don't know about the fucking Nazis
there
in
are
Ukraine,
no Nazis in Ukraine.
Are you kidding me?
You are sucking into Putin's dream right now.
Are you kidding me?
There are no Nazis in Ukraine in the sense that you're thinking. Because you know that this is the pretense he used to justify it to the Russians.
And I called bullshit on that when it happened. I said, nobody believes that. Nobody believes that. Nobody really believes Russia's going into Ukraine for Nazis. And that's not true. That's not why they're doing it. But they're using that as an excuse because Ukraine is throwing in missiles and NATO is threatening to come there. But
so
there are the Bazarov battalion. That is nothing but a Nazi army. They're wearing Nazi.
Putin out of his heart and his principles of morality is going in because there's Nazis in Ukraine.
That's not why. That's the lie. But there are Nazis in Ukraine. That's not why he's going after them. But he knows there's Nazis in Ukraine, and he can use that as propaganda and as part of his excuse. But nobody believes that. But there are Nazis in Ukraine. There's a Bazarov battalion. There are plenty of battalions and armies in there that are rocking Nazi gear, and that is what they believe in. They believe in the nationalism, which is wild shit, but it's true. But I'm not saying that it's a threat to the world, but I'm saying, and I don't think that's the real reason why Russia's going in there.
People who are not democratically elected and who try to overturn elections are extremely dangerous.
The Democratic Party? I'd agree with you.
Putin being one. The guy in Hungary being another who's just suspended the Constitution. Bolsonaro was getting close to being upset in Brazil, wanted to overturn his election. But then as soon as Trump starts to do that and fucks with our democracy, and you get the uneducated fucking yuck-ups who are up there talking about it in conspiratorial ways, what can we do? I will always take the lesser of two evils if I'm forced to.
They're both evil. That's the thing. Okay, then you've been gaslit.
No. If it's coming
Look
between...
where we're at. Look where we're at.
If we're coming between a malignant narcissist and somebody who's the same old level of, not really getting shit done, and we're dealing with a fucked up Congress that can't get a majority in any way because of the way our government is formed, I will choose the fucked up guy over the malignant narcissist
this is
every
why
time.
Our country will never be fixed is because there's too many...
The Republicans need to put up people who aren't assholes.
It's not the Republican problem is not the problem. The Republican side's not the problem. It's the Democratic side.
Republicans
the Democrats.
are assholes. Republicans just took away a woman's right to choose. Republicans are infiltrated by Christian fundamentalism.
But again,
they are infiltrated by racists and Nazis and sexists.
Earlier, I told you the reason why it was able to get Roe v. Wade was to be overturned is because the Democrats had 50 years to codify it, but they didn't. They used it as a tool. The Democrats are the supreme gaslighters of this country.
They're enablers. They're not gaslighters.
No, they are
They're
fucking
enablers.
gaslighters to the nth degree. And they think
why? Because they're blaming Republicans?
No, because they tell you all they're doing the right thing socially. We're doing the right thing culturally, when really they're not. They're just telling you to, but when it comes down to actual policy, when you got Talib, what's her name?
Talib, I know who Talib is.
AOC, the squad, voting, the exact same way as the Republicans when it comes to the military spending budget. When it comes to different policies that Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi are, they get on board. When they're not holding out the vote for Medicare for all, they're all falling in line. But they all tell you they're not, but they are. So they're tricking you because we're not
getting passed.
But yeah.
They're not getting passed. They're not getting anything done. Democrats aren't getting anything done because nothing's getting passed. We have not passed any liberal legislation.
Right. The only thing that's passed is the military budget, which is they can all agree on.
Because the military budget gets included in shit that they have to say yes to.
There's been so many times where the Democrats are in power and can pass this and can codify Roe v. Wade and can have Medicare for all. If the squad would have held out for a vote 4 years ago, they could have put that on the floor and we could have picked out which Democrats were against Medicare for all, but they caved to Nancy Pelosi and voted like present or didn't vote at all and cowered. So we know where Republicans stand. There's not a fucking secret there. But we have all these fucking wolves in sheep clothing on the Democrat side that say they're going to do this, say I'm for this event or say I'm for this cause or that. But they don't, when it comes down to policy and voting, they don't do it. And they're never held accountable because they're not these crazy mad Trump guys. But then we get the most corrupt guy with Biden in here as our president. We could have had Hillary Clinton as president. Are you fucking kidding me? How many wars would we be into right now with now? How
terrible would that be?
What terrible happened while Trump was in? What was the worst thing?
Roe v. Wade?
That was after Trump. That was during Biden.
It only happened because of the Supreme Court.
It happened, like I said, it happened 50 years because the Democrats didn't codify it. They had their opportunity, but they used it as a political pawn. So blame the Democrats for that. It's not the Republicans. It's just not.
And you know why? Republicans' policies are fucked. What about the environment? So are the Democrats. What about the environment? They aren't doing shit.
I don't know. You know what I know?
They don't talk about it?
You know what I know? We got the left wing and the right wing belong to the same bird.
No, they don't.
Yes, they do.
No. One party is actively trying to take your rights away, and one party is not.
No, they're not.
They just took. Oh my God.
That's where you're fucking tricked.
The misogyny of the Republican Party far outweighs the misogyny of the Democratic Party.
Okay.
In the most extreme way.
Okay.
They have these fucking yuck up nuts that still speak in tongues on Sunday.
Yeah, there are some nuts like that.
I mean, 30%. Pentecostal bullshit.
30% of people are not speaking in tongues.
No, 30% of our government is Pentecostal.
In name only. They're not actually Pentecostal.
Are you kidding me right now?
They're just saying They're doing the same thing Democrats are doing. Like, I'm super progressive. I'm super on your side. But when it actually comes down to it, I'm voting a certain way.
They all
They all vote the same way. They're all in the same. And until we change, this is a duopoly. This is not a Democratic. This is not a Democrat. This is not a Republic. Ultimately, what we live in is an oligarchy. Okay? This is an oligarchy. The Democrat Republicans don't mean shit. They're just fucking puppets. What we really need, if we want any kind of change, is a third party. We have to, but we have too many people that are cowards. Cowards like you that are afraid of Trump, that he might win. Let me tell you what, you want real change? Here's what needs to happen. Trump needs to run for next election, which he's going to, and every single Democrat needs to vote for him. Every Republican needs to vote for him. Why? Because he's a fucking maniac. And if every Democrat voted for Trump, holy shit, the Democrats will be like, oh my God, we actually do have to change. We have to have real change. We can't put the same old establishment on. That's what I've been fucking harping on. Stop voting Democrat. Vote. I told it last two Trump elections, like if every Democrat voted for Trump, then Democrats were like, holy shit, we can't do this. We can't put our people in front of you because we're fucked up. We have to actually let the people decide. We need the Bernie Sanders. We need the Tulsi Gabbard. We can't have the fucking Joe Bidens and the Hillary Clintons. We need actually real fucking change, and that'll never happen until we actually vote differently and extremely differently. Either everybody vote for the crazy madman on Republican, or everybody who says, I would vote third party, but I'm wasting my vote. Well, you're wasting your conscience. You can vote with your conscience and give it to the person you don't actually believe you want. You're going to vote on him because he's the lesser evil. I can't do that. I voted for Gary Johnson. I voted for Jill Stein. Like, I can't vote for either one of these fucking knuckleheads. And I don't care if you call it a waste. If everybody did it that said that was a waste and did it, they would have enough to at least get into the debate. I just want these people to get into the rigged debate that these both fucking wings came up with.
So in what ways so you say oligarchy? I agree with that because big pharma, all that.
Big pharma, big corporation.
A big
if you're
agra.
a corporation, you're not as an
You have
individual.
power.
An individual can only donate to a political PAC like $10,000 or whatever it is. But a corporation can act as an individual, but donate like an unlimited amount for some reason. And so you have Coca-Cola, you have Walmart, you have all these big corporations donating untold
And that
billions
was all
of
done
dollars.
under free speech.
Yeah. And and of course they all voted on it. But surprise, surprise, the Republicans and Democrats voted on no cap spending on our fucking policies, and that's why you have big shell corporations, and you have oil and pharmaceuticals both giving money to both sides. If I gave you, if I was a Republican and I gave you $50 million, and Charles is a Democrat and he gave you $50 million and you won, you're gonna feel obligated to vote for put one of our policies into place, like whatever, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like that's just how it is. Like they all buy money. Like that's the oligarchy we're living.
Well, and you also, I can't believe there isn't a law against this. I thought there was a law against this at least since Cheney. I would think there would be the law against this from the beginning. They're trying to put forth now that you have to have blind portfolios. And I just can't believe that you wouldn't have a blind portfolio considering the conflict of interest going on.
But they all voted for
the whole
that.
thing about Manchin is that Manchin is coal money, so he's not going to ever vote to get rid of coal money. And I'm like, how is he able to buy stock? And because I know when Cheney was vice president, he had to give up his stock in Halliburton. He had to give all of it up. But then he rebuilt Halliburton and did the no bid contracts for Iraq so that when he got out, he could buy it again. And I'm like, that is fucked.
Yeah, and the same thing during the Bush administration with the TSA and those machines that we go through. Mm-hmm. Like the TSA has been proven to not stop a single bomb threat or any kind of threat. But the dude that was involved with all that created those machines and was a part of that bill, donated a bunch of money to where the TSA has to be a real thing and you have to use my machines. It's fucking wild. I gotta piss like a racehorse. I'm gonna pee. We'll come back and then we can end it. I don't want to take all your time. How we can make America great again without having Trump.
Great again without Trump.
Third party. RFK. Hey, what do you think about RFK? Would you rather have Biden or RFK?
Biden.
Get out of here. Get out of here. Get out of here. Why? Have you heard RFK actually talk and discuss his grievances? What's your issue with him?
I think environmentally I'd want him.
Yeah.
Vaccine-wise, I wouldn't.
Take a second look. Take a second look. Did you read his book, the Fauci book, The Real Anthony Fauci?
No.
Okay. You just know he's against vaccines.
But I mean, I've watched his interviews.
Which interviews?
He has interviews on Bill Maher. He's had interviews on CNN. He's had interviews on CBS.
Can I put you to the actual only real interview that he's been allowed to have? And it just happened multiple days ago, like a few days ago.
Well, granted, the interviews I've seen were from before the pandemic.
Before the pandemic. That's a good point. And also, they're very cut short, and they're very much like they don't let him talk or speak about it. They don't want that. He just did one with Joe Rogan, and Rogan let him go off. And he said some wild shit, but then it kind of makes sense. And then when you realize where some of these studies are being done and how they're being paid for and what information is and isn't being let out to the public, and not only that, but being let out to professionals in the field, it gets wild. And he wrote this whole book against Anthony Fauci about the whole thing about, during the AIDS pandemic back in the late 80s, early 90s, Fauci was involved with that and fucked it all up. There's information about that. And he's not been put. RFK made a lot of strong allegations out there, and he's not being sued. So I understand, and everybody should understand, that it's weird that this anti-vaccine guy is out there and now he's running for president. But that's because we haven't actually been able to see what it is he believes exactly in the studies he's looking at and the studies that are against it and pro-vaccine and why they're pro-vaccine and who's funding it. It gets deep. When you talk about billions of dollars just surrounding like this polio vaccination, like the crazy story behind that. Like there was a gold rush of like all these people trying to come up with one, and the first one that could make the most money, and it doesn't matter how effective it was. Like there's some wild shit out there, and we're raised to think a certain way because of what our teachers taught us, for what media taught us, or for what we think is common sense. But then when you peel back these layers of these onions and start listening to whistleblowers or start listening to these people that are anti-establishment type shit, instead of thinking they're kooks, and you look into it, it gets scary, like how easily we are as humans and children are duped, and we just fall for it. We're not scientists. We don't really fucking know. But then you start looking at it and like, you gotta fucking think. What the fuck's going on? The world is weird, and I don't know what to think of it other than everything is corrupt.
Everything is nuanced.
Everything's nuanced, but everything's corrupt. And that's why it's corrupt, is because you can use nuance as your fucking...
Okay, so then how do you... Tell me something good.
Okay.
Tell me how... Okay, so what do you love about your country?
Well, I love that I do have the freedom to have freedom of speech for the most part. And yes, I will get shadow banned, and I might get censored here and there. However, if people do find me, they can listen to this. I'm not in prison. During COVID, I was a quote unquote conspiracy theorist. I don't have a vaccine. I was anti-vaccine. I was anti-vaccine mandates. I wasn't totally anti-vaccine. I thought if you were a certain age and maybe a certain obesity level, it might be beneficial for you. But I wasn't saying you shouldn't do it. Make your own decision. Have a conversation with your doctor and figure it out. But I was certainly against you telling me I need to have one. I was certainly against you making me have one in order for me to have a job or go into a certain establishment. I was anti-mask. So I got shadow banned for certain shit like that. So, yeah, and I turned out to be correct. I was against all that shit. The vaccine didn't work. I lost friendships for telling people that the vaccine didn't really work. I told people, hey, like people thought the vaccine was a normal vaccine, like it was a dead virus or whatever that just gets in you. I was like, no, this is like a mRNA. Like this fucks with your DNA. They're like, this changes shit. We don't know exactly what it fucking does. We just don't. There's not enough years of trials and science behind this yet. It's pretty new technology. And now we're finding out that, yeah, these conspiracy theories like me were fucking correct when it came to that shit. Like it never stopped the spread. All you have to do is not trust the government and you're going to be fine. Do what they say.
But the misnomer on public, this is on the public's fault and the public's problem, and to an extent education. The misnomer was, and this is how we were all taught, that vaccines prevent disease. If you get a measles vaccine, you won't get the measles, right? But the more subtle language and better understanding of immunology and virology was that, and doctors understood this, but the public didn't, is that, well, the goal of the vaccine actually is that if things are lethal, it's to actually prevent the death. You can't guarantee that somebody's not going to get the disease, but it will be less, right? So that's more nuanced and subtle language. Whereas to the public, we're just like, oh, you get a vaccine, you don't get the sickness.
I don't think that's right.
What has always existed within that medical community, they have an understanding like, well, no, there's always a chance you could get measles. There's always a chance you could get these things. The point is that it diminishes and mitigates the death.
I think they know that there are certain vaccines out there that you're not going to get this. That's what it is. You're not going to get. You've been inoculated. You're not going to get.
Right. But
chicken pox again.
Right. So, but the layer, so let's add another layer. And I do know people who've had chicken pox after the vaccine, but like.
That's a herpes thing, but it probably wasn't actual chicken pox after the vaccine, but not, how about after natural immunity? And that's where the shit got wild.
That's
where shit got wild with the pandemic. And where I was like, I have natural immunity. Why do I need a vaccine now? But there were still people telling you that even if you got it, you have to get the vaccine. And it's like, that doesn't make any sense.
Well, because for one thing, we all have to begin at the beginning. And that is that COVID is novel. Okay? Even though there's been COVID.
Respiratory viruses like that aren't novel.
No.
Though.
Right, but its behavior is novel. They weren't prepared for it to be long. They weren't prepared for it to not just be respiratory, but also digestive. They weren't prepared for it to be psychological. They weren't prepared for it to do what it's doing. So I think there needs to be a level of forgiveness extended to actual medical community, not big pharma, but the medical community dealing with this, understanding that they have not seen this before. Even though there's been other COVIDs, none of us have been able to see what this does over time to a large population, a global population. Like, this is unprecedented, okay? So it was different than first of all, the 18 flu, because first of all, we didn't have all the technology, but the flu actually behaved as it would behave, right? They weren't prepared.
No, that wasn't actually a flu. I don't believe that was actually a virus. I don't believe the Spanish flu is actually a virus. I believe that was a bacterial infection. I think there was a big difference.
So you're saying it was a bacterial infection of the lungs?
Yes.
So,
and I believe this information just came out like weeks ago, but I think that it was actually a bacterial infection and it wasn't an actual virus.
Okay.
Due to a vaccine.
A bacterial infection due to a vaccine.
Yes, I believe that's just now coming out there, like very, very recent. This is very recent.
Okay. Well, I would need to see that article. Yeah. But the COVID situation is that it did things they didn't understand and couldn't predict, and
which is why they shouldn't have forced it upon us.
I didn't feel forced.
Are you kidding me?
No, that didn't feel forced.
With every talk show out there, all these comedians like Jimmy Kimmel and Stephen Colbert and people like The View and all these news sources that were saying you have to do this. If you don't, Biden coming out and saying this is a pandemic of the unvaccinated. If you don't do this, do you know what you're doing to your neighbor? This was forced on everybody. Many people lost their jobs. Nurses who were the heroes of the pandemic, who had, by the way, natural immunity, were forced to get the vaccine or else they would lose their job. Why? Where's the science behind that? Do you get the chickenpox and then take a chickenpox vaccine? No. So like science was thrown out the window. This was some wild propaganda. This was some wild shit.
I don't know that it was.
It's all been proven now. It's all been proven now.
Because I don't think it was propaganda as much as it was disorganization.
Oh, it was 100% propaganda.
I don't think it was propaganda at all.
Fauci hid a ton of information because we are funding this lab. And the lab leak, you were called a racist if you didn't say it was by these racist or by these Chinese that are eating crazy food in a wet market. Yeah, that's not racist. Saying this other culture is.
I don't think that's racist.
You don't think it's racist calling Chinese people wild because they're eating pangolins and bats whatever they want? That's where it came from.
I wouldn't call them wild. I'm just saying like it comes from a wet market. That's what they do. So it came from a wet market.
That's what they do. They eat wild shit. They go in these wet markets that have pangolins and sea lions and stingrays and all this crazy shit. Extinct animals, bats.
Great.
Yeah, you know what? These Chinese will eat anything. It must have come from there. That wasn't racist, but saying it came from the lab in Wuhan that's actually doing this fucking gain-of-function research, that was fucking racist. That's all I'm saying. It was racist to say that it came from a lab, but the common nomenclature or the common theory at that time was, oh, you can't say that. It had to come from the wet market. Why? Oh, because Trump said it came from a lab, and whatever Trump says is it's fucking evil and racist and wrong.
Well, I didn't hear that from Trump, the lab theory. I heard that from
that's what he said.
Dungeons and Dragons people.
Yeah, the people that were all right, by the way.
But my problem is like people are like
number 5 or 6.
It came from.
I don't know, Charles. If you need to go, you can go. You're falling asleep over there.
Oh, I'm good.
Sorry, man. It's comedy gold. He loves it.
I don't mind.
I don't think this is his style of podcast today. He might be a little bored with us.
Nah, y'all are,
It's okay.
this is like a Clash of the Titans.
Clash of the Titans. Well,
Yeah.
I'm not a Titan. I really, when it comes down to it, I'm an idiot. Like, I am. It's Neandertalk. I'm a caveman that's talking. I'm dumb.
You definitely don't feel like
So all of my shit coming out, just know that I am a dumb. How about you love this? I'm just a dumb white straight male spewing my sexist, racist shit.
Some of the nicest things, some of the nicest experiences I've had have been with straight white men. Right,
I would hope so.
for sure. And some of the worst. So it's a mixed bag. Mixed bag
Yeah.
all around.
Well, that's humans. I'm sure
That's
you got
humans.
some bad interactions with some white women, Karens. Talking to you, Karen.
Have I? Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah, people suck.
But
People are
some
amazing
of
and
them
people
weren't-
suck.
Some of them weren't Karens. They were just mentally ill and they were destructive. So,
Yeah.
I mean,
Do you have any hope for America?
yeah.
What's your hope? How can we turn this around? By voting Biden again, I guess?
No, I think the younger generation has got their shit together. I'm not saying we give up and let them take the reins, but they're already taking the reins.
Well, we have to.
They're already not. They're already just like, you guys are fucked. What are you guys doing? You know, they're all about the earth. They really do have a lot of anxiety about the environment, and what their legacy is going to be, like what's going to be handed to them. I think the youth is pretty awesome. I think that, I don't know about currently. I don't have much hope right now. I don't know. I think I can't. Unless we get smarter, we're fucked. That's why I think we should take some of the defense budget and put it toward education. Like, we're fucked.
Well, like I said, Democrats and Republicans both are
Yeah.
they're both giving money to the defense budget. So-
Right. The nail in the coffin for Rome was when Justinian closed the schools. And that always has haunted me. That's like the one big thing. Like if I had 12 big things I learned in graduate school, this would be one of them. Was like when my teacher said that, I was like, what the fuck? And he's like, when Justinian closed the schools, everything went downhill for Rome from that because it was disease, lack of population, that little mini ice age they had where the ground couldn't grow food. Like everything just decided to, implode, and then you de-educate people who were presumably very educated before.
Okay. We're going to get out of here. But I have one last question for you. Last time, we didn't even touch, and we're not really going to a whole lot, but your dad was a school shooter.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we had you on here. That's kind of what your initial thing was.
Mm-hmm.
And when I had you on last time, you mentioned that your dad had a letter that you've never read, that he wrote.
No, there's all of his writings from prison
Right.
that he wrote.
And you've never read them.
Haven't read them.
Have you still not?
Haven't read them.
Okay. I had to know. I didn't know if maybe some things have changed. You're like, you know what? I'm finally going to read these.
Mm-mm.
Will you?
Mm-hmm.
But it'll come to you when you should.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know. You don't have any plan. Like it's going to be when I'm this age or when this event happens, it'll just come to you.
No.
What if it never comes to you? What if you're like 91, you develop a cough?
COVID.
Yeah. Masks aren't working. And you're like, I feel it. I feel like I only have like 3 days left to live.
I don't know. 3 days left to live. I'm going to spend it reading my dad's letters from prison, and that's not going to change anything,
It's not something you just think, like curiosity isn't getting this cat.
God, there's just so much else going on, though. I mean, there has been a tremendous amount going on. So
What if you could write a book with all these
But that's what I'm
letters?
saying is like I'm saving it all for the book about my dad, and right now I'm working on the book about my brain. So like, and then there's the book about my time in Belfast. So it's like it's whatever gear I'm in.
See any car bombs in Belfast?
No, I was there for the 10th anniversary of the Good Friday Agreement.
Well, Carrah, this was awesome. I wish you read those letters. I really want you to read them.
Okay, well then let's plan for. I'll read them.
Really?
See what happens.
I think you should.
Okay.
I don't know why you wouldn't.
It's not that I'm resisting it. It's just that it doesn't occur to me with so much else happening. You know,
I can't believe that wouldn't be number one on your list. Like me, there's no way. I'm reading. I have to. I'm a curious fella.
Mm-hmm.
I'm reading them,
Mm-hmm.
and then doing. I don't know, processing it and reading them again and putting myself in his shoes and his environment, being like, what was he going through when he wrote this? What was he looking at? Was he looking at bars? Was he in the jail library or something? Like what? How? Like I want to know. I want to get into that world.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think I told you that he always had to have a shirt with a pocket.
Yeah.
He was a total nerd.
Yeah.
You know? And we figured out after he died that was because he folded the paper so that it would fit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Prison uniform. Had a pocket.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I want all of that in my mind while I'm reading what was going through it. Like you have any idea what was going on? Like that's what I'm saying. How?
Well, I know because he did. I read
Just give it to me.
But
Let me read
I read
them.
his autobiography. I read his autobiography and it was gruesome. It was gruesome what was happening. There was a whole floor of people with no clothing on. That was the suicide ward.
It's all right.
You know?
You get used to it.
No, it was.
Just see some swinging dicks all
and
the
then
time.
and then
It wouldn't be as bad as it. How about this? Being on that floor with a bunch of dudes with swinging dicks wouldn't be as bad as Penn University having to see Leah Thomas's cock swinging around before she went for a fucking race and took their medals. This is Neandertalk Podcast. I hope you guys enjoy it. Like and subscribe. Where can people follow you, Carrah? How would you like people to find you?
Instagram, I guess, for now. Carrah Q, or the Disto Queen, because I talk about dissociative disorders.
This was fun. I enjoyed myself. I hope we are friends. I hope you don't hate me and think of me as just another straight white racist male. No. But I hope we're cool. She's giving me the thumbs up and laughing and turning red. Everybody, this was it. Bye.
Leave me the fuck alone. Neandertalk, hardest podcast in the world, you stupid ass bitch.